I thought I would come here and do like a quick chill stream, kind of like a Q&A session, questions and answered thing because the last time I actually did a Q&A episode of a stream was in April 2025, so it's been over a year ago, which is absolutely insane. And there's so many new people since because I've been posting shorts and there's so many new subscribers that probably have fashion questions that they want answered. So that's why I thought I'll do one of these, and then moving forward, we'll just go back to our normal streams where we talk about the trending topics in fashion, the latest runway shows, current affairs, the typical stuff that happens on the streams. Can you guys hear me now, or is it still muted? Let me know, let me know. Let me know. Okay, cool. You guys can hear me now. So yeah, just any fashion question you have, you can ask me whatever, questions you want answered. And then we'll do that for a bit and then I'll hop off and then we can go to a normal stream tomorrow. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. It is the Y3 cap I wear all the time, but yeah, I feel like a Y3 billboard. But it's all good though. It's all good. I also love because apparently, according to my analytics at least, the most optimum time for me to stream is like 5 p.m., 5 or 6 p.m. But I actually like it when the streams are smaller because they're more intimate. There's like less people, so everyone's questions can get answered and stuff like that. Um, what's the easiest way you can tell between someone who really knows fashion and has no idea what they're talking about? Oof, that's it. We're starting with a banger. So I don't think so. First of all, I will caveat the answer by saying that there's no one that knows everything about fashion. Like even me, I've been working in the fashion industry for over 10 years. Obviously went to fashion school. I consult for brands now. I've worked as a journalist. And even with all this experience, there's so many aspects of fashion that I'm completely clueless about. So I think, first of all, someone who presents themselves like they know everything about everything, that would give me a thought that this person probably doesn't know what they're talking about. Because it's really impossible to know or to be an expert on every aspect of fashion because fashion is really that broad and there are so many components to fashion. So that's definitely one indicator that, let's say, someone doesn't know what they're talking about. And then also, I think people just say, because obviously I do stuff online, right? So I don't know. People just say stuff online where it's like really obvious that they don't know what they're talking about. I don't know. Like people say, like I mention stuff like this all the time. People say, "Oh, Balenciaga wasn't relevant before Demna," or like just terrible opinions like that. When one of the most iconic moments in fashion was literally Nicola Gasquier's time at Balenciaga, for example. So it's just things like that that it starts to become obvious that okay, maybe this person doesn't really know what they're talking about. And also, some people's argument for stuff like that is well, with so and so designer, they made more revenue, but every single luxury brand makes more revenue now than they made 15 years ago. Like Chanel, go through the list: Chanel, Louis Vuitton, Gucci. The markets are bigger. Inflation also makes the numbers bigger. Even if it was the same number, even if they had no growth, inflation would make the numbers appear bigger. So yeah, I could give you so many examples, but those are like the ones that come to mind a lot quickly. Favorite and least favorite men spring summer 27 show standout items. You went to a few Reese's. Yeah, the men's spring summer 27 show. I actually went to most of the shows to be honest. And I went to a few Reese's. I went to the Dior Reese. I went to the Louis Vuitton Reese. I went to the Prada Reese. I'm trying to remember what other Reese's did I go to. Um, but yeah, I'm trying to think what are my favorite collections of the season. Let me Rejig my memory. I liked so Sakai was really cool. There's actually let me show you guys. There's the shirt from latest season Sakai. It's actually in the thumbnail, I believe. That I'm like, I need to buy that shirt. Once that hits stores, I'm 100% buying that shirt. Wherever it, I'm just hoping someone stocks it. Um, but let me see if I can get that on the screen. So Sakai was definitely like a standout for me. There were some brands that are really odd. Like Junior Watanabe was really odd this season. That was really strange. Something that was amazing actually was Simone Rocha because I was at Pitiomo in Florence. She had her debut menswear collection, which was very interesting. It is kind of how I would imagine Simone Rocha to make a menswear collection, to be very honest. But it was just cool to see and cool to be there and like see her tribe just be there and be excited for the menswear. So yeah, that was really cool. Let's see if I can show you guys the shirt on the screen. Yes, so this is the shirt I'm talking about. This shirt here. I just like the silhouette of it. So I definitely have to buy that, like 100%. What is the base level of skill you need to get into CSM fashion design? I understand having a trust fund is a must. Having a trust fund is a must if you're an international student, to be honest, because the fees are so high. Um, I don't know, like base level of skill, you at least need to have a portfolio, and you don't have to, but it's more beneficial if you've showcased that you could make garments, and even better if you've created a collection. And then work experience helps as well. And normally it's rich kids that have that kind of work experience because how else at such a young age would you have that kind of experience? Um, so yeah. But most students are just it's more about if they like your ideas or not, and less to do with like you having to come being some accomplished designer in the first place. I know you grinded for that shit, unlike most of your fellow students who have rich corporate owner parents. Yeah. This is true though. I talk about this all the time, but most people that work in fashion tend to be like nepo babies or like trust fund kids. So it is very rare where you have someone like me who I paid for my own university degree and I kind of was grinding from when I was 18 to try and get into the industry, and I had no family members that had ever worked in fashion before. That is actually very rare, especially the higher you go in the fashion industry. Any recent fashion book slash magazine pickups, recommendations, any new or old? Yeah, so in terms of books, one book that I'm looking to get soon is Eugene Rabkin has a really cool book that came out. I'd say definitely check that out. Also, Lara Violetta's magazine, Violet Papers, which I'm a big fan of, by the way, but the new issue dropped recently. I actually do feature in that magazine, but I'm a huge fan of the magazine anyway. I talk about it all the time. So those, off the top of my head, those like, if we're talking really recent, Eugene's book, I'm definitely going to pick that up soon and read that. And then Violet Papers magazine. Sources can confirm Mr. Roadman is back. That's funny. Oh yeah, Eddie did go beast mode and implied that everyone was copying him. This is true. This is very true. This did happen. That definitely did happen, to be honest. It's Grace Wells Bonner Hermes debut soon. Isn't that happening next year? I believe. Or am I wrong? Wait, let me Google this. When is Grace Wells Bonner's Hermes debut? Let's see what Google spits out. Yeah, January 2027. So yeah, it's not that far away, but it's soon. It's soon. I'll just come on and have to go to sleep. I'm setting notifications on for the next. Don't worry, the next live stream will be at a more decent time. It won't be at like in the UK right now, it's like 1:15 a.m. Most people have work. They're not jobless like me. Can't even rob anyone anymore because those 2 decades of arse sweat infused Eddie jeans can't fit anyone. Any tips on getting marketing slash communication jobs in fashion? being so vast, what positions would you advise to look at? Or it depends because there's different types of marketing in fashion. So there's marketing in a sense of working for a brand, like in a marketing team. There's marketing in terms of press. There's also marketing in terms of like individuals. Like you can do press marketing for VIP clients. That's a totally different thing. So it depends like what aspect of marketing you enjoy the most. And in terms of tips, because to be honest, so I'm a consultant, and I know that that's very vague. I have been saying I'm going to make a video clarifying exactly what that means, because that can mean anything. But I'm actually like essentially what I do is I work with a lot of brands on marketing strategy, and I think that because the person that's asking this question, I don't know how old you are, but I think that a lot of young people tend to underestimate their value because my value for a lot of brands or why they work with me is because I'm young. So I have a young, and I'm not even that young, I'm just Gen Z, but like I'm 28. So I have like a different point of view to the people that normally head brands. They're normally like CEOs and CMOs, and they're like in their 50s and 60s and 40s. So they just don't think the way that I think. Um, and the only way you get people to understand that is really going to fashion events and talking to people about fashion. Um, I always advise people actually you should not like you shouldn't apply for jobs, but there are better ways to get jobs. Like I don't think I've ever applied for a fashion job before, apart from my first job ever. After my first internship, that was the only job I applied to. Every other job, I've either been at an event and been talking to someone, and then the person's like, "Oh, you're interesting," and then it becomes something else. So I would say don't underestimate yourself. If you have like marketing ideas, there's you should definitely pitch them to really important people like CMOs, heads of marketing at brands. And fashion is literally the kind of industry that if they see that, oh, this person has good ideas, you will get hired. I think people always feel like jobs have to be this like you go on LinkedIn and you apply and it's like this really laborious process. But actually, you could just find the email of the head of marketing and be like, oh, I had this really, this is the kind of stuff that I do. I'll like find out the email for the head of marketing for a brand that I want to work with and then be like, this is a really cool marketing idea for your brand. Sometimes they might steal your idea, sometimes they might not. That's just the game we play. But I would say my advice would actually be to go down that route more so than try to do it the traditional way because that's too hard. Like getting a job that way is so hard. That's why a lot of people are really struggling to get a job, and it's really hard to be fair. So yeah, of course you're in the sauna. Of course you are. What am I? What am I wearing right now? I'm wearing this Nigerian inspired top. You guys can see it. Shout out to Kelly Kayo. This is his brand, Law Artifacts, and then just the Y3 cap. And then I'm wearing. I'll show you guys because I'm in my house. I'm wearing my trusty my trusty Uggs that I wear around my house. Like nothing too crazy. I have some Jean Paul Gaultier slash Duran Lontic tea that's going to absolutely blow your socks off. Message me on Discord or Instagram. A lot of marketing opportunities can be made slash found through finding links to different networks and constantly showing your value, what your value is to these people. Yeah, that's exactly what I was saying. 100%. 100%. Okay, so update. So you're 25. Okay, cool. That's literally what I aspire to be. I'm 25, just finished a 3-year course at IED in fashion business, and I've been working with an upcoming brand already for free, unfortunately. Yeah, I know. But to be honest, the thing about working for free is that, and okay, granted, I don't think I've done jobs for free, but I haven't done like a full time role for free. But there was a job that I did, one of my earlier jobs, where I was earning minimum wage, and it was like a marketing job actually, like long time ago, really long time ago. And I must have been like 21 or maybe 22 at this time. But I took the job because of the opportunities that I could create out of the job. Like the first thing that I did, for example, the second I got into this job, I told them, for me to do this job, you guys need to buy XYZ camera equipment. But I had every intention of using that camera equipment to build my YouTube channel. But I just told them that they need to buy that equipment so I could use it for my own personal gain. So, like, even when I'm not making a lot of money in jobs, like in the past, I would still find other ways to make the most of it and to use it to my advantage. So long as you're being strategic with working for a brand for free, and there are other ways that you can progress your career, I don't think there's anything wrong with it. Is consulting more profitable than content? Well, yeah. I mean, I always tell people I don't really make money from content. It's like it's a passion project. Or actually, no. I'm lying. Let me. Why it's actually good for me to stream is streaming forces me to keep up to date with what's going on in fashion. And if I'm up to date with what's going on in fashion, it helps my ability to consult. So actually, they kind of work in tandem. So I don't make a lot of money directly from social media, but then the consulting from it is like a lot of money, to be honest. So yeah, that's why sometimes I can't make content, or I might take massive breaks streaming because I have a big consulting project, and so I don't really have time to make content because my bosses are on my ass about the project. I'm scared with pictures like that people will just steal it, but that's great advice. So the thing is, if you have a digital trail of you actually pitching the idea, so this is how I've always seen it personally, right? It's like if someone stole my idea and then I saw that campaign actually be released, I could just make a whole Instagram post like, "Oh, they stole my idea. Here are the actual emails," and then I would just get press from it, and then people would be like, "Oh, the idea actually came from this person," and then other brands would see that. So I think either way, low key, it is kind of a win-win depending how you play it. Um, so yeah, LinkedIn is also your friend. Cold emailing and DMing people to make things happen will get you so far in most major cities. 100%, 100%. I ain't seen you in time. What have you been up to? Yeah, I've been MIA. I was saying earlier that I had a few consulting jobs, so I didn't really have time to stream much. So yeah, I'm trying to get these streams in before, because New York Fashion Week is when? New York Fashion Week starts, is it on the 9th of September? Because this season's going to be crazy. I'm doing New York Fashion Week, and then I'm doing London, then I'm doing Milan, and then Paris, and then I'm doing Ireland Fashion Week. So that's going to be a bit hectic. But so what I'm trying to figure out is if it's possible to stream while I'm on the road. Um, so I'm going to try that out because I actually think it would be so much fun to stream during the days that I'm at Fashion Weeks because so much stuff happens on the day that I might forget if I don't stream that day and I could talk about it. So yeah, I'm 27 myself. Being 25 to 30 is so strange because I feel old compared to younger people and too young for some old people. Just a weird limbo until you hit your 30. Yeah, 100%. I know all about it. I feel really old, even though I'm not really that old. Like I'm like, I'm 28. I'm not that old. But like young kids call me Unc, and like my nephews and nieces call me Unc, and it's like, damn, maybe I am. My first question of the night: will McQueen and Givenchy get sold off now that they're cratering commercially? I'm not sure about Givenchy, but McQueen, is it going to get sold off? Not really. I think McQueen is still in the phase where they are trying to figure out if they can, salvage their financial situation. That's why they're returning to London Fashion Week. They're seeing if they can create an extra buzz. Because to be honest, they do. McQueen is one of those brands that gets lost in the sea of brands at Paris Fashion Week. At Paris, there are too many brands that show. I'll just be the first to say that. So if you're not a brand that has a massive marketing machine like the Dior's of the world, or you don't have a collection that really hits the zeitgeist, you're just going to get lost. Whereas in London, they're one of the major, besides maybe Burberry, they're probably the brand that most people are looking forward to going to that show. So there's going to be so much buzz and more people are going to focus on McQueen. So that was a smart move from them. I think they're still trying different things like that before they finally concede and, want to get sold off to a, Kering is like, we're going to sell it. Depending on what specific job slash roles you want in marketing, sometimes you should be public with ideas slash portfolio and not over concerned about selling ideas. You may never get opportunities for depth. I definitely agree with this. I agree with this. I 100% agree. Unrelated to fashion, how do you feel about Arsenal winning the Prem? That's such a random question, but I'm not sure how many of you know, but I'm a Chelsea fan. So obviously, as a Chelsea fan, not the biggest fan of Arsenal winning the Premier League, but it's cool to be honest. It's like Arsenal hadn't won the Premier League in such a long time. So it was cool to see like how London was buzzing, people celebrating, how many people came out to celebrate Arsenal winning the league. That was cool to be fair. And it was also hilarious to see all the memes about, people that don't know anything about football and all of a sudden they're buying Arsenal jerseys to be part of, the Arsenal fans and stuff. That was funny too. So I think it did make for a funny moment. But it's cool. I mean, Arsenal won fair and square. You can't refute that. So I have nothing to say. And Arsenal almost could have won the treble. They were losing a lot of late stage games, like in the Champions League and of course like the FA Cup. So yeah, really, really good season. Fashion Week and Ramadan is. Do you know the problem? So the reason why I can't vlog is because I make reels. And like if I'm into the only way I could vlog is if someone was filming me. But then the problem with someone filming me is that brands are so fussy on access. So if I get access to a place, it's only me, and it's like some places it's really impossible to bring an extra person, especially if it's a massive brand. They're just gonna be like, no. Because a lot of these big brands, they have like if for example, if you go to a Gucci show, there are so many A-list celebrities there, like K-pop A-listers and like Paris Hilton and Kim Kardashian, that a lot of fashion PRs are really scared that something's going to go wrong. So they're so picky and selective about, no, that person can't come here. No, you can't do this. And if you're coming here, it has to be this way. And yeah, it's a lot. It's a lot. Can you believe I watched every World Cup match this year? Every single match or just the England matches? Because every single match is insane. That's insane. All those collabs Arsenal did, it was about time. Can't be having 5 alt kits and being so fashionable and losing. To be fair though, growing up because I grew up in London, Arsenal was always the cool club. I don't know. It was always like some of the flyest guys, they were always Arsenal fans growing up. That was kind of just always the case. So I've always seen Arsenal as like that club that like there's like fashion attached to it and style attached to the club. So it's just funny you said you can't have 5 alternative kits and still be losing. That's hilarious. Cool being an Arsenal fan. And yeah, I remember that you're a Chelsea fan, which is why I asked. Yeah, 100%. 100%. But I mean, as a Londoner, because I support a London team per league. So obviously in the Premier League, I support Chelsea, but I grew up in Southeast London, so I support teams like Charlton in the lower leagues. There's like a lot of lower league teams I support. Like I'll go to their games on a random Sunday if I'm bored, because it's not too expensive either. Um, so yeah, I do support quite a few teams. Another team that's close to me, but I can't really support because they're really racist, is Millwall. But that's a team that was around where I used to live as well. So yeah. As a Mexican American kid, I watched a lot of KSI due to the FIFA content, and he almost made me an Arsenal fan. So glad I did it. Why are you glad that you're not an Arsenal fan? What team do you support? Do you ever feel out of place in certain environments? Not really. I don't know what you mean in the sense that so the fashion industry is a very white industry, but I don't feel out of place because the school I went to when I was from 16 to 18 was like probably 98% white. So that was good practice for what it's like, surviving, or I don't know, navigating an industry like the fashion industry. So I'm kind of used to that aspect of things. Maybe fundamentally I might feel out of place because I'm not the typical fashion person, and that's not to say I'm worse or better. I'm just not very like the typical person in fashion is not into sports. They don't play or watch sports. Like, for example, people are asking me about Arsenal. The typical fashion person doesn't know what Arsenal is. Um, I feel like most fashion people aren't the most well-rounded individuals. So they're very like fashion is my life and my personality, and there's not really much else that's there for a lot of fashion people. So sometimes I do feel out of place where all people talk about all day is the same shit over and over again, like Sex in the City. Oh my god, do you remember season 2, episode 13 of like Sex in the City? She was wearing that Prada bag, or it's just the same stuff that people tend to talk about, which can get a bit boring and a bit like, damn, like, don't you guys have any other interests? Like films, I don't know, TV, sports, like, it's really weird. So I guess I feel out of place in that sense. Because then when I meet my friends who aren't in fashion, they're more rounded. And we can talk about a whole range of topics from politics to sports to you know, climate change to what's going on in different countries and stuff like that. OMG, I'm so glad I found this today. Was just watching your videos. Oh, welcome. Welcome to the show. Went to fashion school and got so disillusioned by it, learning about the ecological impact of the industry. I took a break and launched myself into community organizing. How do I come back? When you say how do I come back, do you mean in terms of your interest in fashion? Or what do you mean? And I think it's really good. I think crime, I've seen some of the stuff you've been doing on Instagram. Like, kudos to you. I saw, if I'm not speaking about the wrong person, but I think it's you. I think I saw you helping someone with either their housing situation. It was something along those lines. But I remember watching it thinking, wow, you're really doing some like serious stuff. Um, so yeah, I'd say come back at your own pace. A more fashion slash sports question. What do you think about how Nike is handling their brand right now, even considering losing high profile ambassadors? Mbappe was rumored to be leaving. Yeah, I just don't think they know what they're really doing over there. Nike right now is in Nike right now is in a state of thinking that because there's so many brands like legacy brands, they tend to fall into this trap where it's like we've been doing something for 20 years and it works, so why should we change? And in the process of doing that, other brands that are innovative, they end up taking over. Like, okay, for example, On Running is full of like ex Nike employees. I literally I so there's a consulting job that I'm doing now, and one of the people that's involved in this consulting job was a former executive at Nike. So because of that, I have so much insight on like so much behind the scenes Nike stuff. And one thing that this person told me is that there were a lot of people on the Nike team at a certain point in time. This is at the beginning of like On Running and stuff and Hoka. Well, not at the beginning of Hoka, but when Hoka was really becoming popular alongside On Running's rise, there were a lot of Nike employees who felt like they had really creative ideas and their ideas weren't taken seriously and they weren't being heard at Nike. So a lot of them left Nike to go to brands like Hoka, to go to brands like Under Armour, to go to brands like um, Asics, like smaller brands where there's more chance to, for them to try more creative things. And you can see for all those brands, it's working and they're taking all of Nike's market share. I have a friend who's a buyer who was telling me that there was a point in time when Nike in the UK, I'm not sure about other markets, but in the UK, Nike had 80% market share. And now Nike has, I think it's like 45%, which is insane. Like, think of how much money that is. Um, and all that market share has been eaten up by On Running and Hoka mainly. So I think it's just their fault. They're losing their best employees because you have these stuffy old executives that have no new ideas, and they're just sat there not really, pushing the brand forward. And the people that work under them are like, they want to be in that position, but they actually have ideas, so they just go to Hoka and On Running to give those ideas to those brands. That's really all it is. Yes, this is true. I do talk about sports on Twitter when I am on Twitter, because that's not a lot, but yeah. I used to live in New York City and wore a lot of Rick and now pieces, but now I live in Texas and work from home. So I just stay in a white tee, my jelly jeans, or quarter. Do you know what's funny? There's so many people, like, sometimes I share opinions that people don't like, and then their first point of call is to be like, who gave you an opinion to talk? You don't even dress like a fashion person. And I find that so funny because it's like, like, what, number one, what does a fashion person dress like? Secondly, do people always forget that, like, these streams are literally in my living room? What am I supposed to do? Like, wear a suit and loafers in my living room? And then thirdly, I more work in a corporate capacity, so I can't even dress the way I used to dress. Like, it's like I used to when I was younger, and you guys can even watch my videos from when I was, because this channel is old at this point. I used to dress really avant-garde. Like, I used to just wear Yoji all the time and Rick all the time. But now I dress kind of like fashion slash corporate adjacent. And I definitely dress more simpler the older I'm getting, because of like the people that I work with. Like, I work with a lot of business people, like CMOs, CEOs, and these people, they all wear suits. So it's just, you're not really going to be taken seriously in those settings if you're just here wearing like some avant-garde um outfit. It's not appropriate for the place that you are. Do creative directors take little things they like from other shows? You brought up Sakai, and I saw Pharrell Williams attended, wondered if this was the thing. Yeah, I don't necessarily think they take things from other shows. I think that's more support. Because I think Pharrell is probably friends with Chitose Abe. So I think it's more just supporting a friend rather than them taking things from different brands. Because, yeah, a lot of designers go to each other's runway shows. That happens a lot. Like, some of the small athletic brands are doing high spend while Nike is reducing heavily. Yeah, 100%. 100%. Oh, yeah, that is you. Okay, yes. So I have the right person. Yeah. um, but yeah, I understand. I understand. I think, do you know what it is also? So I think it's also, and I think this is also fine. Like, your opinion on things can change over time, because, like, when I was younger, I think the thought of like working with certain brands or certain people was like, I would never work with these people or like this kind of person. And now that I'm older and I've had conversations with other people, and they'll be like, I understand. They'll be like, Ayo, I understand what you're saying. You sound like a very young person. And I'll be like, how? And then they'll be like, well, if there's a company that makes billions of dollars, and you went into this company and you changed the framework of the company, and then you brought down their emissions by 20%, does that have more impact than working with a niche brand that literally their carbon emissions is really minuscule compared to like going to a much bigger brand and reducing it by 20%, or going into a much bigger brand and like changing the way that they operate so that it has a trickle effect on the whole industry? And now that I actually work quite deep within the industry, I'd like understand exactly what they're saying now. And I understand why they're like, yeah, I understand your passion, but like this is a very like young, naive like point of view to view the fashion industry under. Um, so I think just do it at your own pace, but I think also just know that like you can engage with fashion and still be critical of it. Like, I'm very critical of fashion, but I'm still engaged with fashion, and I work with brands that I'm also critical about. I think the two things can coexist at the same time. Leah says the only logical explanations I've come to, they're doing a lot of market testing with backstock product development, and they're also overestimating market conditions and underestimating competition. Yeah, I also think that with Nike, at least when I was younger, one thing that made them so appealing to me was how innovative they were. And so now I don't see Nike as innovative. I just see, when I think of Nike, I think of a brand that re releases old models, is trying to tap into old nostalgia. There's something they released the other day, and I was just like, this is exactly why they're struggling. What was it called? What was the sneaker called? I'm gonna find it and put it on the screen. Yes, it's this. This sneaker here. Let me put this on the screen. Yeah, it's called the Jordan Green Screen. This is like their most recent release, and they're like, oh, this is like a Jordan 11 green screen, and it's inspired by the green screen that Michael Jordan was working with for the Space Jam film. And it just feels like you guys are clutching at straws. Like, you guys are really clutching at straws. So, yeah, that's how I feel about that. I'd love to ask your advice on how to get started in larger fashion brands. As a grad, I've just finished uni in London and trying to explore roles that have more progression opportunities. So obviously, slightly too late. I'm not sure if you interned, but my first advice would always be work for brands while you're in school. Now, if you haven't done that, then it's kind of similar to what I said with the person before. You just kind of have to send your portfolio to a few brands, um, and eventually, like a brand will give you a chance, and then you can take it from there. But also, like, try to build your own platform and like post on Instagram and stuff. I have friends that are designers that just post their work on Instagram, and people like Mathieu Blasi DM them and offer them jobs. So don't underestimate the power of putting your work out there. And these are not people that are famous, by the way, or have big followings. What do you like seeing from graduate collections, or what makes a student stand out and make you think they're one to watch? Sometimes like a different point of view, a different way of seeing things. A good thing about graduate students, especially because I'm like slightly, older Gen Z, like young Gen Z, like 21-year-olds, 22-year-olds, they have references that I'm not aware of, or they reference things that I like they've lived through that I'm like, oh, this is a thing, this is interesting. So I think bringing those new point of views into fashion, because silhouette wise and stuff, most things have been done, but if you can, create an angle that has a different point of view, I think that's always very interesting, and that makes me think, okay, there's something there. This person has an interesting point of view. Um, and also, I will say, depending on the school, the level of construction that I'm seeing, yeah, the level of construction I'm seeing from some of these graduate students is really, really impressive, especially over the past 2 years. Young people race to you if you dress like them. That's true. Please don't become Lemaire head to toe boring ask. I'll try not to. I don't think Lemaire is boring though. I like Lemaire. I heard rumors Luis Trotter is leaving Bottega already. That's a bit soon. What have you thought of her run so far? I think she's had a great run. I went to her the last two Reese's for her collection, so I got to see the full collections up close, and her work is amazing. I will say, especially when you see it up close, because a lot of it is very crafty, trompe l'oeil like sort of technique. So you have to go up close to really appreciate it. But I've personally enjoyed what she's done, and I think the campaigns are also really good. Someone said yes, exactly. I think it's about being the change. That's because the fashion industry has such a huge impact on the planet. A great motivation is to try and be the change for me. Yeah, 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 for sure, for sure. Let's see what you guys are saying. Yes, thank you, Vinny. I started interning while studying. Okay, perfect, perfect. Sorry I missed the previous question. Thanks for answering again. And we'll definitely focus on posting more. Thanks so much. Yeah, 100%. And you can even send me a DM on Instagram if you want me to like give you pointers on like maybe how you should post or whatever. Um, yeah, I don't mind. Do you think Project Runway has the ability to have influence over the culture or help designers gain traction with its newly renewed seasons? No, I don't think so. I think the era where, for example, like America's Next Top Model, when it happened, it was the perfect time. If they tried to reboot America's Next Top Model, it wouldn't even have remotely close to the same social or just wider impact in general. And I think the same is true for Project Runway. So yeah, I don't think it's going to have any significant influence over culture. It's just it's such a different way that people consume media right now. Um, so yeah, I don't think so personally. Personally, someone say the Booger Elevens. Yeah, I don't know. Like Jordan, they were clutching at straws with that one. Like, yeah, I don't know about all of that. They're like, yeah, it's inspired by Michael Jordan. When he was in front of the green screen filming Space Jam. Like, we're clutching at absolute straws right now. Even though you've exited the streetwear niche due to being more corporate, what brands do you think are putting out interesting stuff in streetwear now, apart from Rick Owens? When you say streetwear, do you just mean like things that people are wearing? Is that what you mean? Because like Rick Owens, I wouldn't really put in this like streetwear. But then again, what does streetwear even mean these days? But if you mean in terms of like what do we see people wear, or what high fashion pieces are we seeing people adopt? Um, I mean, Demna's Gucci is like coming really strong. I've seen a lot of people wearing those ragazzo loafers. I'm not sure how many of you are aware of those. Let me see if I can put them on the screen. Um, yeah, these ones here. These loafers here, these like ragazzo loafers, I've seen a lot of people wearing these. Like these flat toe, low profile. But the ones I see people wearing, not the black ones though. They're the monogram, but like this color, but not the backless one. It's the one, yeah, this version. This is the version that I see a lot of women wearing, men wearing. This is like the shoe right now, it seems. Um, so yeah, I'd say Demna, he's been pushing stuff at Gucci that is really hitting the zeitgeist. I think there are brands like Saint Laurent where I see a lot of people wearing Saint Laurent. Of course, Mathieu Blasi Chanel. There's a lot of people wearing that. Um, I'm trying to think what else. Someone said I've seen men wear the bags from Gucci. Yep, same. I've seen a lot of men wear the bags, especially I just forget the names of these bags. What's this? There's a bag. I'm gonna find it now. Yes, exactly this one. This is the one that I see people wear. This one with the horse bits that it has this shorter strap. But what I see people, it's called the Brera bag. There we go. But the one I see is either people wearing the black one and there's a brown one. Where's the brown one? Is it not on their website? There's a brown version that people normally wear. Um, Let me see if I can search for it. Um, yeah, this version. There we go. Because the hardware is gold on this one. So this is another one I see a lot of men wearing. Um, Apart from that, like, I mean, we can talk about like sneakers, like what sneakers people are wearing. A lot of people are wearing Vans these days. A lot of Asics. A lot of Saucony as well. A lot of people are wearing Saucony. I don't know. How do you say that brand? Is it Saucony? Saucony? I don't know. But a lot of people are wearing that brand these days. Um, yeah, very, very different market. Very, very different landscape to like how it was 5 years ago. in terms of what people are wearing. How's the quality of the number 9 Y3 stuff? It depends what piece. The tees weren't like that great, but the bag and the footwear were really good quality. Like the shirt wasn't too bad, but the tees, they're just tees. Like they're not. It's nothing really special. It's just Y3 quality, and Y3 quality is not bad. I've been watching like I don't know if this was the best idea to reboot a similar vibe to the topic of Jordan and its re-releases. Yeah, I totally agree with you. Totally agree. For example, a lot of people said Vetements isn't interesting after Demon left, but I like some of the new designs. I don't think that. Yeah, but that's just. I made a reel about that got people really angry. Where I was saying that a lot of Demna fans are like saying that Pio Paulo's Balenciaga is absolute trash when he's making stuff that literally Demna would make. Like he's making stuff that if you just switched him for Demna, the Demna fans would say that stuff is insanely good. But because it's not Demna attached to those designs, they say it's trash. I think it's the same effect. A lot of Demna fans are not the most objective people about fashion. And I say that as like I'm a Demna fan too, but you know what I mean, like Demna super fans. The kind of people that only wear Demna design clothing. So I don't think you should listen to this kind of people. I think Vetements has released some interesting pieces post Demna's era. And I also think this whole idea, this is another thing, a fashion opinion I don't really agree with that people make. Some people say that certain brands are trash, and I don't necessarily agree in the sense that there's something that I like from at least every single brand. There's going to be at least one thing. So even a brand like Off-White, I might not like 90% of what they make, but there might be a 10% of things that I could buy and I could wear and fit into my style. So when people just completely dismiss a brand in its totality, it's a bit like, are you just not objective or are you just like, like I don't know, it's strange. I don't understand like dismissing a whole brand. It's weird. But a lot of people do that in fashion. Like I don't dismiss any brand. I would wear any brand, even Supreme. There's stuff that they might release next week that I'll be like, okay, this is interesting. This is cool. But then there's a type of fashion person that's like, you're not into fashion because you wear Supreme, and it's like that. I would actually argue you're not into fashion because you're still in the phase of your fashion journey where to you fashion is performance. So rather than just buying things that you like and also accepting that other people are going to buy what they like, you're trying to like police what people are buying because you think that, I don't know, wearing CCP puts you at a higher totem pole. I would say that you're in stage like 3 out of 10 of your fashion journey if you're still in that way of thinking. How valuable do you think online presence is? Like having an online portfolio in the age of AI. I feel so much for artists getting their shit stolen before they have a chance. Yeah, 100%. I think anytime, because you do kind of need a presence to get jobs, right? So when you are building an audience online and you're posting your work online, you do run the risk of potentially having your work stolen. But I think you have to weigh the pros and cons. Would you rather just never post and just never get any jobs, but at least your work isn't being stolen? Or would you rather post about your work and then you run the risk of your stuff being stolen, but it significantly increases the chances that, you can make a living doing what you love. So I think it's just you have to weigh the pros and cons. It's like opportunity cost. How much longer do you think Chrome Hearts will dominate social media celebrity slash athlete style? Oh, that's a good question. I'm not sure because I honestly thought it would have been gone by now. Not like I don't like Chrome Hearts, I like it, but just kind of like the way that, rappers and celebrities wear it, like with the jeans, with the patches and stuff. Um, I don't know. I'll give it maybe another like 3 to 4 years. I'd give it like another 3 to 4 years and then we'll see. Her New Balance has had a new shoe release every month. I feel like, are they doing well? New Balance isn't doing too bad. They're not growing as quickly as like a Hoka and On Running, but they're not doing bad. Yeah, people are such fanboys of some designers. Yeah, it's really annoying because like when people are like blindly fanboys of certain brands, because like people know my favorite designer is Ander Meister, but just because my favorite designer is Ander Meister, it doesn't like the brand now. There's so much stuff they're doing that I'm like I don't like it. So just because I like the brand doesn't mean I can't be critical of the brand. And it's not every single design that Ander Meister herself designed that I like. This like lack of objectivity just because you like a designer is really annoying. Like talking to these people is like talking to a piece of paper. I think there's a weird shift that happens where people start saying a brand is trash once its hype slash relevance declines. Oh, you're cooking. Leo, you are cooking. So a lot of brands say that a lot of people, sorry, say that a brand is trash when there's no relevance because they're hype beasts. But obviously they don't like to accept that or they don't like to think of themselves like that. But yeah, it's like you only gravitate towards what's hyped. But this is so true though. This is so true. Yeah, Micah, same. Every time I think Chrome Hearts has peaked, I'm so wrong. 100%. What do I think of Opium Style? I don't mind it, to be honest. I don't mind it. Some people, I think Opium Style is cool if that's kind of like your vibe, if that's your essence, if you're kind of like a mysterious, kind of edgy, gothic kind of person. But it's kind of weird when like in Atlanta you see all these random people that like that's not them, but they're just forcing it because they're just trying to be hip and it's just not working. But in general, the opium style, I don't mind it. I know it's kind of become a meme and people are like, yeah, some people just think it's like overdone or it's outplayed, but I don't mind it personally. Trashing on brands in totality gives skinny jeans are overrated street interview vibes. That's so true though. That's so true. No, what happened to Vivette? What happened? Oh yeah, same with Margello, exactly. Exactly. And yeah, current Ander Meister is depressing. Agreed. He said, just clocked you're sharing the bag, you'll be buying. Micah, why are you exposing me? Why is this man exposing me? Do you think personal style is going away as fashion trends start to feel very algorithm driven, flip flop craze? I don't think personal style is going away, but I think less people have it because of the way that social media functions and the way that we. Because I talk about this all the time, but I'll just make the point again because why not? When I was younger, all the subcultures I was involved in. So when I was really young, I was a skater. I was like one of those skate kids, and but I also used to play basketball. So I used to dress like a skater, basketball player, whatever that means. But even within those subcultures, no one would actually dress the same. Like one of my friends would wear Osiris sneakers to skate. Another one of my friends would wear Vans. One of my friends would wear Airwalks. Another one of my friends would wear Nike SBs. Another one of my friends would wear like I don't know what other brands were like big then. Like no one really wore the same thing. Like we none of us had the same stuff in our closets like ever. And I think that's the biggest difference because when I was younger, it was more about a style that you were adopting, but within that style, there was so much variation. And then when I got older and like, let's say the 2010s when skinny jeans were in and like jerking and all that sort of stuff, I was wearing studded belts and shutter shades and colorful plaid shirts and I don't know, Supras and Vlados and, Nike Dunks and Nike BRSs and stuff like that. And even back then, still, no one dressed like me, even though we kind of dressed the same because we were all wearing skinny jeans and high tops and stuff, but we never had the same pieces. And I think the issue with social media now is actually people wear the same exact pieces, and that's where like people lose me. It's like, okay, this is a trend. Adopt it into your own personal style. Why do you have to buy the it item and the it color? Like that's what is a bit strange about the way social media disseminates trends these days, but that's just how it is. That's just the world we live in right now. Yeah, there's also brand people who say a brand is trash because of the hype it's getting. Yeah, that's the reverse of what Leo said. So some people, they try to be obscure and they try to be avant-garde, and they think being avant-garde is saying that any brand that's hyped is trash because, they're above anything hyped. They're just the opposite of what I was explaining earlier. Yeah, to add, so many former streetwear guys will trash Supreme, for example, but are here because of it. Some people who like high fashion will trash hypebeast culture, but have adopted the same norms. Yeah, 100%. Like I remember there was a reel I made from the Louis Vuitton Reese, and I was wearing like a Martine Rose Supreme shirt, and a lot of the comments in the video, which I just found fascinating, people are like, this guy is just a hype beast. He doesn't know anything about fashion. He's wearing Supreme. And it's like, and it's like so funny because it's like, why do people equate like wearing Supreme with like not knowing about fashion? Like that's what I'm saying. These people are not very far in their walk in fashion, because like if I see a journalist talking about fashion, I'm not really like, okay, what they're wearing is cool, but I'm more listening to what they have to say, and I'm more considering the point that they're making. But I think those people think, I guess, that them shitting on someone wearing Supreme puts them higher. Like, oh, I'm above Supreme. But it's like, if you think you're fundamentally above like any brand, and like there's absolutely nothing you would ever wear till the day you die from any brand, I'll just think either you don't have like a personal style, or you don't have a strong sense of style, because I believe, like I said earlier, any brand, you could integrate their pieces into your closet. Like some people, for example, say that Amiri is terrible, which I don't agree with. Actually, especially newer Amiri, I quite like it. But some of the people that say this, they wear like Lemaire and stuff like that. And it's like there's a lot of stuff that Amiri makes that you could weave into a Lemaire closet. So like, are you just saying that because it's like you feel like it puts you on a higher standing? Or do you genuinely believe that? What did you think of Ludovic's single season at Andy? Were you at the 2017 show? So I wasn't at the show, but I did do a live review at the time the show happened. I think that show was a disaster. And there's a reason why he only lasted one collection. All the opium kids went from oversized Balenciaga to Margiela Futures and skinny jeans. 100%. They're dressing all the way back in, the 2010s, like the days where people were wearing skinnies and Margiela Futures. Like that was literally the 2010s, like mid 2010s. All this streetwear talk reminds me of PAQ. Oh my god, I forgot about that. Shout out to PAQ. That was a good time. That was some good fashion content, I must say. What did Michael? By the way, an update email came through for one of the brands we're consulting on. Need to discuss some next steps with them. Okay. I'll check. Mike, I'll check my email. Oh yeah, it did. I just saw. Okay, I'll check. I'll check the email after the stream. I sacrifice my own life for my own style. I get and still get laughed at because of what I wear. Yeah, I mean, sometimes I might wear some stuff and people look at me funny, but I don't really care. Um, because yeah, I don't know. This is kind of like deep. I'm not sure if many of you watching this stream feel this way, but I do feel like in society, black men especially are held to like a certain level of masculinity. And when I say masculinity, it's like what people, the average person, associates with masculinity, right? So I feel like black men are held to such a standard of masculinity that if you deviate from that masculinity in any way, people are going to look at you funny or say you're dressed weird. Um, so that's why I always get a lot of those accusations. What would be the best way to keep up with fashion news slash brands currently, in your opinion? Follow me, which you're already doing. Apart from that, I don't know. I have a system, right? So on my Instagram, I have notifications on for every sort of fashion news outlet, like Vogue Business, the Financial Times, Business of Fashion. Because on Instagram, when you open the Instagram app, it will show you like all the people you have notifications for. There's like a tab where you can go through their latest posts, and I just go through and like skim through. And that's how I can see everything that's going on in fashion, especially in the mornings. That's like a good, like when I wake up, go to the gym. While I'm at the gym, I'm just scrolling. Um, that's like a really good thing. I also have on my Google Chrome, it's set up to open specific tabs when I boot up my laptop, and it's like mainly fashion pages and like Reuters and the Financial Times and Vogue and GQ and another magazine and like all these other publications. So that's my system. I like artisanal. Shout out to John Galliano. Did someone say they have 5 cups of coffee a day? How is that even possible? If you talk to anyone who wears a mirror, you'd understand why they. I know what you mean, but it's like I think what people fail to understand, and I'm not saying you don't understand, I'm just saying in general, that two people can wear the same brand and look so different you wouldn't even think they were wearing the same brand. So that's the point I'm making. It's like just because someone looks a certain way that you don't want to look wearing a brand doesn't mean that you can't adopt that same brand in a different way that fits seamlessly into the way that you dress. I remember conversations about the alleged aerodynamics of baggy pants versus skinny jeans and how it would affect people's skating abilities. They'll be like, bro, baggy is way better for kids. Oh, yeah, I remember that. I remember that. Do you know what's funny about this conversation? There were arguments for both ways because when I used to skate, some people used to say that baggy trousers would make you, like, for example, when you're doing a kickflip, you have more mobility because your clothing isn't tight. But then other people would argue that no, you should wear tight clothes because you're like on the landing, for example, you can land on your pants and you can like get seriously injured. Like if you have really baggy pants, you do a kickflip on the landing, you kind of land awkwardly because you land on your trouser and then you trip off your board and smash your head into the floor. That's a problem. So then some people would advocate for skinny jeans, but then they'll be like, oh, but your mobility and like, da, da, da. But it's funny though, because no one can win. I feel like that's a debate that no one wins. Opium boys are just jerk. 2011 swag era kids. How do you go about finding your own personal style when there's so many different beautiful styles and aesthetics? Sometimes I just love everything too much to commit to one. To be honest, I think for me, I've kind of just dressed the same for a very long time. It's like very mainly black, mainly Yoji and like under Meester. And I've just kind of, it's comfortable for me. The clothing is comfortable, the clothing fits, they do my size. It's flowy. It works for my proportions, being taller, especially Yoji. Um, so yeah, it just kind of works. I don't really know what else to say. It's just kind of I think you just find what works for you and then you just stick with that and then you might develop that slowly, which I think is what I've done. I think I've always been like a Yoji Andy Rick dresser, but then over time I've started to find different ways to implement color and like implement different styles. Like for example, like this top is like literally an African design, but I could wear this with like Rick trousers and like loafers. Like it's just you just develop it over time. Let's see. What do you think of Pio Paolo at Balenciaga? Honestly, I think that I like the footwear. I think the footwear is really good. The weird thing about Pio Paolo is that I like the stuff he's doing, but I also don't like it, and I'll explain what I mean. Let me see if I can get his collections on the screen so I can actually illustrate what I'm talking about. It's more. when you look at the pieces individually, like when you go to Balenciaga Reese or you go to the store, you look at the products and you're like, oh, this is really nice. This is really nice. I would buy this. But then I just think Pio Paolo is not good at world building at all. And coming immediately after someone like Demna is very difficult because Demna, his strong suit actually is world building. So Pio Paolo, he's a bit all over the place. And I think he hasn't really decided what his aesthetic for Balenciaga will be. So when you look at his collections, there's some Cristobal there, there's also Demna there, there's also Alexander Wang there, there's also a bit of Pio Paolo there, and it's just like he needs to pick an aesthetic. It's too many aesthetics. There's no cohesive theme. There's no through line through his collection. So it's just all a bit random. It's all just like throwing stuff and seeing what sticks. And I just don't think that's necessarily good enough when you're the creative director of Balenciaga. So I'd say like those are my overall thoughts about what he's doing. I will say there are some like bright sparks. I mean, the couture collection I liked. So we know he's good at couture anyway, but I'd just like to see more cohesion, more world building, more so than just designing random things and then just throwing them into one collection. I got my eyes on my back, but it's not my opsis Oz. But are you excited for Peter Media taking over Sache? Yes and no. So I'm excited because I like Peter Media in general, and I obviously was a big fan of what he did at Alaya. However, I just actually think that I know some a lot of people didn't like Dario Vitale's Versace debut, but I actually did like it. And I think a lot of people have kind of warmed into it because there have been so many editorials and you know, just campaigns in general and we've seen celebrities wear this collection about. And I just feel like, he could have built, because it's only one collection, he could have really built a world around this, and he really was. And they just got rid of him. So I think I'm excited, but I also would have loved to see a Dario Vitale run at Versace because I think he was actually onto something. But then again, to be honest, Dario Vitale being fired is kind of his fault. I'm not sure how many of you guys know, but for people that don't know, Dario Vitale was the former creative director of Versace. He only designed one collection before he was fired. And the reason why he was fired was because he was design director at Miu Miu. This was a time when Miu Miu was growing insane amounts. And so they were having like a moment there. And he got the offer for the Versace job. So he had to leave Miu Miu to go to Versace. And the bosses at Prada Group, because obviously Prada Group owns Miu Miu and Prada and Churches and many other brands, they literally told him, if you leave us and go to Versace and we end up buying Versace, you are going to get fired. Like, we don't believe that you're the right person for the job. So he called their bluff. Maybe he thought they weren't, like, the sale wouldn't be successful. But Prada Group successfully invested in Versace. Once they took over, they got rid of Dario Vitale and then hired Pietro Milio. So that's kind of what happened. I'd love to hear more about your thoughts on Indian fashion, Indian designers becoming more mainstream lately, like Roadman's debut during All Winter 26, and now Lovebirds for the upcoming fashion week. Personally, I love it. One, because I think in general, there's so many Indian designers that are really, really good. Secondly, a lot of craft comes from India anyway. So I actually love that because a lot of Western brands talk about craftsmanship, but actually the craftsmanship doesn't really happen where their brands are based. So I think it's really good for like a lot of Indian brands to reclaim that and talk about craftsmanship and embroidery because that's actually where it's happening. Um, so yeah, I'm a big fan of it. I've been enjoying this sort of push for Asian brands, and them becoming more popular and like seeing stylists pull a lot more Asian brands for their clients, especially A-list clients. I've been enjoying it personally. What do I think of Comme des Garçons? It depends. Comme des Garçons is very broad. So it depends what aspect of Comme des Garçons. I also focus a lot on the things that I didn't like previously, such as fabrics, and go the opposite way and just try. You don't have to buy, just feel stuff and develop your taste and preferences. Agreed. 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 What do you think the problem with Versace? Well, I don't. There is no problem. It just wasn't selling, which is why Donatella stepped down and Dario Vitale took over, and now they're you know Prada Group invested. Like they just don't know what they're doing commercially. That's all. I went to India and got a custom embroidered blazer for $200. It was so beautiful. Yep, you can find some gems in India. Of course, the exchange rate works in a lot of our favor, but you will find like the craziest crafted pieces in India for prices that you could never get in the West, like especially brand new. Do you have any recommendations for jewelry brands slash artisans you enjoy and think are unusual? So I don't know. I'm into like a lot of like I like I've talked about her before, but there's this Turkish jewelry designer called Begum Khan. I really like her jewelry. It's inspired by because obviously the brand is based in Istanbul. So it's inspired by the Ottoman Empire and the use of animal motifs in the Ottoman Empire. So she uses a lot of like animal motifs. But like with her, it's not well, she has a fine jewelry line, but it's more just like dress jewelry, more so. But you can get customs made. So like if you like some of her ideas, but you just kind of want to change it a bit, then you can get like custom pieces made. And I just like her jewelry. I think it's fun. Of course, if we're talking stuff that's more expensive, I like Nadine Gone. I talked about Nadine Gone quite a few times on these streams. There was one stream where I talked about Nadine Gone and then it sold out, which means there's some really rich people that watch these live streams clearly. Um, but yeah, I really like Nadine Gone. I think her jewelry is like so playful and fun. Especially her burger. I want to get one of those burger rings because it's actually like five pieces of jewelry in one. Yeah, like the veggie burger ring. It's like actually all these different components, and then when you wear them together, it's like a burger ring. Um, but yeah, there's so many cool jewelry designers like doing really cool stuff right now. There's uh is it Octi? This is a brand in London. Octi Jewelry. They make like handmade bespoke jewelry. I think it's really cool. Kind of like very inspired by like nature and like shapes of nature and stuff like that. But I just kind of like what they're doing with their brand in terms of jewelry right now. I think is really cool. Um, there's so many other jewelry, but they're not coming to me right now. Um, when I think about it, I'll let you know. The overall aesthetic of Comme des Garçons, and black. Okay, cool. I'm not really too in tune with what's going on with CDG Black. As far as like Ohm though, I like it. One thing about especially like Homme Plus, I'm a massive, massive fan of Homme Plus. I probably buy Homme Plus every season because I tell Micah about this all the time actually, and I think he's coming around to it now. That I think Comme des Garçons makes the best shape of shorts for men. I don't think anyone else has a better silhouette, not that I've seen. Like, let me see if I can show you guys what I'm talking about. Like, it's just so perfect. Like, like it's this. Okay, it's this shape. Okay, they have this shape with black as well, so it's like the same thing. But this shape here, where like it's slightly like below the knee, and the shorts kind of flare out, and the shorts have this triangular shape that almost makes it look like a skirt, depending what angle that you look at it from. This silhouette of shorts is so perfect. Like I'm yet to find a brand that does a better silhouette of shorts. Um, so yeah, I'm a big fan of what they do personally. What do I think of Ralph Lauren's recent shows? Um, I mean, I like them. I think they must have hired like a new stylist because I think a lot of the focus on Ralph Lauren because they're doing the exact same stuff that they've always done, but I think the because of how good the styling is now, I think people are now seeing the vision a lot more, and so therefore that's what is creating the buzz around Ralph Lauren. I will also say, Ralph Lauren have done a lot of like smart things, like for example, I was at the last Wimbledon. It was interesting to see how involved Ralph Lauren is at Wimbledon and like how they design the uniforms and stuff like that. Let me see if I can show you guys. Because I think that kind of helps with the world building of that whole preppy sort of like collegiate aesthetic that they always go for. Because yeah, they design they're designing like uniforms for Wimbledon and like all this sort of stuff here. Um, so I also think like marketing wise and world building wise, like the stuff they're doing, it kind of makes sense um, within all the other stuff that they're doing. I went to the Fendi store a couple of days ago and I was told that the menswear is selling really well under MGC. What do you think of the new creative director for Fendi? I like Maria. Don't get twisted. I didn't even mind her at the. So my issue with Maria Grazia Curie at Dior was that she was too repetitive and her ideas were too formulaic. But it doesn't mean she's a bad designer, though. I've never thought she was a bad designer. I think that's other people that were saying, oh, she's so terrible. I don't think that. I just think that it was repetitive and I wanted to see her develop. And I don't think she got to a certain point at Dior where she just didn't develop further, which, as someone that like wants to see the best of fashion, it's just frustrating because you have that Dior atelier there and all that sort of stuff. But because Fendi is a clean slate, I actually like a lot of pieces. Let me go on. Let me show you guys. I think was it her first collection that I was like, okay, some of these pieces are actually quite cool. I think it was this collection, right? Um, let's see. Because it's like the way she was using the fur and like the way in which she was like playing with stuff. I thought it was kind of like fun. Like even a fur camo like that is kind of fun. Like I can see depending on who wears it, I can see that fitting into like a very chic wardrobe. Like the kind of person that wears Comme des Garçons, you have like a Comme des Garçons skirt that the ones with a lot of volume and then you wear like a crop jacket like that. I can see how that could work. So there's pieces there. Like in her collections there are pieces there and I don't really think she's necessarily a bad designer, but it's interesting to know that the menswear is selling. Is Does Maria design the menswear though? Or does Sylvia still design the menswear? I feel like Sylvia's the menswear designer. Like Sylvia Venturini Fendi. Because I know Maria does women's wear. I think she even does kids wear now. Thanks, Io. And we all know this mysterious rich person is your yacht owning alter ego. That's funny. 80s booty shorts still. A very deep crotch depth. Oh, you talking about the Comme des Garçons shorts? Yes, very much so. Very much so. Yeah, Ralph Lauren also does the brunch at Wimbledon too, 100%. By the way, wanted to shout out Kai Rahagan as a new younger YouTuber that does pretty good content for you to be aware. Okay, let me check this person out. Let's see. Tyra Hagen. Yeah, I've not heard of this channel, but I'll definitely do a deep dive once I hop off this stream. Their content looks very interesting. Looks very, very interesting. Um, got Raf Simmons reviews like Spring Summer O2, ERD. There's some interesting stuff there. I'm definitely gonna check them out. What did you think of Ralph's Oak Blush collection? Oh, I already reviewed that in the past in a past stream, but I did like it. I did like it. In what ways would your style change if money was no object? All my clothing would fit better, mainly. Okay, so Sylvia, MGC does everything. Okay, that's good to know. Um, yeah, everything would fit better. Like, if money was no object, everything I wear would be custom made because it doesn't matter what brand. If you have enough money, everything can be custom made. It doesn't matter if it's Chanel, if it's Celine, Gucci, or a smaller brand. Everyone will make a custom piece if you pay them enough money. So if money was no object, I would be able to buy every single piece I want made specifically to my measurements. So that's so I guess my style itself wouldn't change, but I would look better because everything would fit a lot better. He's just out here posting lyrics. Dolce Jeans, have you had a UK rap deep dive recently? And this is very true. Poor fit is the difference between like looking goofy and looking good, honestly. Like it's not even the clothing or the style, it's just how it fits, honestly. What do you think of the new Loewe? I wasn't the biggest fan at first. Now I think I'm kind of warming up to it, but I still think like I'm still observing. I'm not fully convinced, but it's not as bad as like I initially thought. Um, so yeah, same. I'd literally be in bespoke head to toe. And oh yeah, and when it comes to like, because obviously I do work in like corporate spaces now. Best belief, I would live in Savile Row if money was no object. Like I would live. I'll be doing all sorts of stuff. I'll be making purple suits at Oswald Boateng and doing crazy shit. I'll be going off. What fashion label has your favorite store interior design? You know what? This kind of like cheating, but my favorite interior design for a store is actually Begum Khan, the jewelry brand I mentioned earlier that's based in Istanbul. Because it's like the whole brand is inspired by like the Ottoman Empire and all that sort of stuff. The interior design of their store is insane. Like it's actually insane. But that's not a fashion brand, it's a jewelry brand. But I guess they're kind of all the same. Like look at how her store is. Like the light bulb is like a beetle because it's obviously inspired by like a lot of the animal inspired things, like stuff like this. Like the interior of her store is insane. Like this store in Turkey, outrageous. Like you can't really see all of it because these are just different angles. But like if you walked in, like I really like the interior design. It's just so different to most stores that you walk into, and it like really has the personality of what the brand represents. Do I have any Canadian brands? When I think of Canadian brands, I think of like Spencer Badu, who I like. I like his brand. Um, Canadian brands. I'm trying to think. What's when I think of Canada, honestly, I think of like Lululemon and like Canada Goose and stuff like that. Um, but Spencer Badu, I'm a big fan of. Maybe you could put me onto more Canadian designers because I can't like when I'm thinking about Canadian designers, I'm like definitely not Lululemon, definitely not that. If money was no object, I'll get bespoke shoes. Yes, this too. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh, this is so important. I will be showing up at work like the Joker. What, in my purple suit? And then get a custom green shirt to match. I think of Arc'teryx when I think of Canadian brands. Yeah, imagine. Did you know about the biopic of the late fashion legend Isabella Blue depicting her life and everyone who's involved in? Do you mean Isabella Blow? But I haven't seen that. If you're asking if I've seen it, I haven't seen it. Oh yeah, Moose Knuckles is Canadian. Do you miss making videos about Demna? Not really, because I can make a video about him now if I wanted to. Like, in what sense do you mean? Like, are you asking? It reminds me of the Cat in the Hat movie. Please let me know if you know what I'm talking about. Yeah, I know what you're talking about. That's funny. Cat in the Hat is crazy. That's absolutely insane. Um, but anyway, guys, keep the fashion questions going. Keep it going. Keep it going. Is Demna suing Io for defamation or something? Why can't he make videos about him anymore? Oh, meaning at one point Demna had the game on lock and now it's not the same with Gucci, at least at this point in time. I think it just depends. It's what you make it. Because I could make a video right now about how Demna has led to Gucci having a resurgence. Like their revenues are up, are back up again. So Demna clearly is like financially helping the brand. Um, then also all the pieces that I'm saying that I'm seeing people wearing, which is obviously why the revenue is up, like the Regatta loafers, the Brera bags, stuff like that. I see people wearing that on the street. So I could make a video about that. There's a lot of videos I can make about Demna's Gucci, even cultural ones. Like when I was in Milan for his debut, there was um, there was like a lot of cultural context that I learned about why that his debut collection made sense because it was supposed to be inspired by youth culture in Milan, and I didn't really understand youth culture in Milan because I'm not from there. So being there, I spoke to a lot of Italians and I was really asking them to explain to me like what are young people in Milan wearing? What are the subcultures? How does this relate to Demna's collection? So it makes sense to me now. So that could even be another video. Because a lot of points that I'm aware of about that collection, I haven't really seen people mention those kind of things. Someone said the 2% resurgence. No, it's more to do with when you compare before Demna was there, when you compare how the percentages by which the revenue was going down, in a comparison like quarter to quarter comparison, versus now where it's basically leveling back up, that's a resurgence because it's like the graph was going this way, and then Demna came in, and then the graph has started going this way. So right now, even though like where it started originally was here and it's gone down to here, Demna has brought it back up to here. And the way it's going, he's going to bring it back all the way up to here and then even further. So it's just you notice the trend and you can see the direction of the trend. What do you think of McQueen showing in London for Spring Summer 27 and Mulberry show? So much interesting stuff. Yeah, this is going to be probably one of the most anticipated London Fashion Weeks in a long time, and that's a big testament to the BFC, the British Fashion Council, and also them, having a new CEO, Laura Weir. I think Laura Weir has been really instrumental and fundamental in kind of creating moments at London Fashion Week and bringing back the resurgence of London Fashion Week. So all props to her. She's doing a great job. Demna sending YT horsebit trousers is the real tea. But Demna likes that sort of UK underground music scene. Like he had Fake Mink and SD Kid performing at the LV show and well, not the LV show, but the LV after party, and like obviously they walked on the runway. Like Fake Mink walked on the runway as well, and it was so random because I was at this Gucci after party and Fake Mink was performing Louis V sandals at a Gucci event. It was really dystopian. I get that's like one of his most popular songs, but it was just weird. Like he could have just changed it to like Gucci sandals, but he was like, nah. I don't care if this is a Gucci event. I'm still saying Louis V sandals. But yeah, fake Mink. He's an interesting guy. Very interesting guy. Oh yeah, this was interesting actually. Like Tom Ford, the Lion, Zimmerman, and the Row joining. That's very interesting. I want to see how that manifests and what comes of that. To be honest, Demna side-eyed him and he took that personally. But yeah, I want to see how that all manifests. But yeah, some cool stuff going on in fashion. Some cool stuff. Some also not so cool stuff, like those weird green Jordans that they were trying to push. I don't know what all of that was about, but you know, Maximara is cool. I do like Etro though. I do really like Etro. Poochie had a show recently that a lot of people are talking about. It was like not too long ago. Like it sort of, it's almost like feeling like they're having a comeback too, because people haven't really talked about Poochie for years. And then I think it was early this year or last year, they had a show that everyone was talking about. Is Prada bringing back the slim silhouette, and will you try and pull off the pants? Nope, 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 nope. I'm too big for skinny jeans. First of all, and secondly, I think it's not the same. I don't think Prada has enough. Like Prada is not that influential culturally right now. So Prada bringing back the skinny silhouette is not enough to like affect the zeitgeist in the way that it would if Demna did that, like he brought the skinny silhouette when he was at Balenciaga, that would have actually changed the trends. I just don't think he's in the right. If Eddie Simon came back at a brand and like a brand that's not known for wearing skinnies, and then he made everything skinny, that could be enough to change the trends. But I just think Prada now doesn't have the cultural cachet to like truly bring skinnies back. It's just more going to be in pockets. But yeah, I'm too big to wear skinny jeans. And then on top of that, my knees are fucked up. I'm even going to the doctor tomorrow, like a knee specialist. So I don't want to like be struggling to take my trousers, like my jeans off, and like hurting my knee in the process. Like, nah. Do you think there's generally some positivity, increase in spending, and just growth in fashion lately? I've worded this so weirdly. Yeah, I know what you mean. It's it's uh it's to do with like people have more disposable income now because we're still in a recession, but stocks are up, like a lot of investments are up. So a lot of the kind of people that usually buy luxury, they're back into being in a position where they can buy into it. So then it reflects in the sales figures. How come Prada doesn't have the same cultural impact that Miu Miu has when it's under the same leadership? Because they're two different brands with two different aesthetics. And I think Prada hasn't really done anything. Well, I think with Miu Miu, the appeal of Miu Miu was more the world that they built around it and the lifestyle and the people that were endorsing the brand. I think the people that are endorsing Prada are not, because Prada is the kind of brand that takes itself too seriously. Prada is a brand that like tries to be like overly intellectual. So it's kind of like this thing where if you wear Prada, you're like such an intellectual. When it's like no, you're just wearing clothes. But so the people that endorse the brand tend to be people that are more. I'm not even gonna say they're intellectual per se, but they give off the aesthetic of being intellectual, and so because of that, that's not enough for the cultural zeitgeist to zip on to like hold on to. Whereas Miu Miu has a different vibe. Miu Miu is about like having fun. It's like Prada's fun younger sister. It's about like a young energy. It's about being playful. So it's just the philosophies of the two different brands are completely different. So even though they're still under the same company, they're just completely different things. This is also true. Miu Miu also skews younger, in my opinion. That helps with TikTok virality. That's true. I don't know. This Prada just. Anyway, this new era of product, 100% is not for me. I'll tell you that for free. Um, but like any brand, is there stuff that they make that I really like here and there? Of course. There's pieces that I see every season from Prada that I'm like, if I was a rich person, I would buy this and buy that and buy that. But like the stuff that they do, and it's like with the stained, like this whole stained collection and like a commentary on living in your clothes. It's just that sort of stuff just doesn't appeal to me personally. It just really doesn't appeal to me. It really, really doesn't appeal to me. Miu Miu also doesn't have cultural impact. Just sells on algorithm fashion. Prada doesn't feel like the brand it used to be, especially in its history. Yeah, I think I was just talking about in general, but obviously someone obviously compared Miu Miu and Prada, and I'm like, well, Miu Miu definitely has more like cultural cachet right now than Prada, but yeah, it's still not even that. Like brands that are in the zeitgeist right now are brands like Chanel, brands like Celine. These are brands that like people are wearing, people are buying. Brands like Gucci with Demna there. There's brands people are wearing, buying. People talk about it all the time. People are posting about it all the time. Um, yeah, those are the kind of brands that are in the cultural zeitgeist right now. Regardless, though, wisdom sharing what happened to Mimi really put me off from even considering buying anything from the sweatshop. Yeah, I talk about this all the time, but like even like it's been common knowledge that Prada Group in general they don't really make good quality things. I always refer back to how luxury lost its luster, and Dana Thomas in that book was saying that she bought a Prada pant in the 2000s and like it ripped after like a few wears, and that was like in the early two. I'm talking like 2001. So they've always kind of had that reputation. So it doesn't surprise me at all. Thoughts on the Q2 list index? I haven't actually had time to look at it. So let me actually have a look at it in person. Let's see. See what's going on with the list index. Let's see. Let's go through this live. Okay, so let's see what the hottest brands are. Okay, first of all, Chanel being first makes sense. Um, Miu Miu being even higher than it was before, I'm not sure I agree with that. Dior being close to Chanel, that makes sense. Saint Laurent, that makes sense. Gucci, that makes sense. Prada, that makes sense. Ralph Lauren, that definitely makes sense. Burberry being that high, I'm not too sure about that. Um, Coach, I can understand. Massimo Dutti going 8 places up makes sense. Chloe makes sense. The Row makes sense. Versace is interesting because of obviously everything that's been happening at Versace. That's very interesting. Um, Bottega being up there, that makes sense. Celine being up 5 places, that makes sense. I would have expected Celine to be slightly higher. Because Celine is not one of those brands that people are talking about. Like, people are buying it. Like, when I go to Fashion Week, that I'm seeing people in, like, Celine. Montclair, the one thing that is trending with Montclair right now are those boots that they make. So it's understandable why they're there. I don't think Loewe should be on this list at all. Phoebe Philo being there, she's new, so she wasn't on it last quarter. Phoebe Philo, that makes sense. Like, a lot of people have been talking about Phoebe Philo, wearing Phoebe Philo, all that sort of stuff. Jacques Mousse, I mean, Jacques Mousse is Jacques Mousse. It's a hype brand. Stone Island, I mean, Stone Island is not really like in the cultural zeitgeist the way it used to be. Yeah, like you guys have been saying, like post Oasis tour. Um, so I can understand why it's dropping. And by next quarter, I don't expect Stone Island to be in this at all, to be honest. Um, but yeah, the list, it seems about right. I would switch a few things around, but obviously they have their own data because I think the list index is around like searches and sales through the list platform and stuff. So obviously it's not a perfect index, but it is like a good marker. And that's why I said I agree with like most of the list. I'll just like swap some names around. I want to know what products they're saying are the most trending. Okay, this makes the New York Knicks hat, of course. Of course, that's number one. That doesn't surprise me. Um, I mean, Issey Miyake pieces, they kind of just come and go. They're always in and out of like style. Skims jelly shoes. I think people just like being scammed. I'm of the opinion that people just enjoy being scammed by Skims at this point. Like, people buy the most nonsensical products from that brand, and they always sell out. It's insane. It's insane. These Gucci Vittoria Hills, and this is what I'm telling you guys about like Demna's pieces actually selling. Like, I see them a lot. But these Vittoria Hills, I've been seeing them a lot, and I've also seen other brands copy these hills and just put them in different colors and stuff and offer them at a different price point. The Chloe jelly mules. What is it about these jelly shoes? And I'm sure by next quarter, the Saint Laurent jelly shoes are going to be everywhere. So yeah, I don't know what is this obsession with jelly shoes? Like, they're very, like, when you wear them, your legs get sweaty and like, because they're not, normal fibers, they're plastic, so your sweat gets trapped in the shoe and then it's just a bit musty. And then it's also, the plastic is really hard. And so when you're walking, it rubs across your toes and it starts to cut your toes. And if you're not careful, it might bleed your toes. So yeah, the appeal of the jelly shoes, I don't understand personally. I buy what isn't the height of fashion but wears well. Issey Miyake, Kenzo, Maison Mihari, Asihiro, Bottega Veneta, Ferragamo, Declare. Why do popular brands not have sturdier gear? I mean, true, but that's because a lot of brands just don't care anymore, I guess. Okay, Massimo Dutti, toe sandals, Chanel shield glasses. I've not seen people wear these shield glasses, but maybe I'm not looking. And then this Adidas um, Willie Chavarria jersey, it makes sense because obviously the World Cup just happened. Zimmerman daylight dress, interesting. What brands are they saying? So Issey Miyake has seen a rise again. The thing about Issey Miyake though, I've just always felt like Issey Miyake is just a brand that not everyone, but like most fashion people buy because it's so versatile. Like, no matter how you dress, you can fit in a pleated Issey Miyake dress into it, or you can fit in like a nice cocoon Issey Miyake top, or like there's always stuff that you can fit in. Like, Issey Miyake is just so versatile. So whether it goes up or down, I just think everything that they make is really timeless and it can fit into any sort of style, to be honest. For Anita, really cool Thai fashion brand. They're having a lot of traction right now. Literary sports. Okay, so this is a Toronto-based activewear label. I'm not too familiar with this brand, to be honest. I'm not too familiar with that brand. I need to look into that. But yeah, they're talking about the Knicks championship and all that sort of stuff. Yeah, I think it's obvious why the Knicks cap is the most worn. Issei is even a part of the Tech Bro uniform now. How do they wear Issei Miyake? Because obviously, like Steve Jobs and his whole Issei Miyake thing, is it that they're copying him? Are they wearing like the mock necks, or are they wearing like pleated pieces? What are they wearing? What are the tech bros dressing like these days? Or the IG and Y2K baddies wear the Chanel shield glasses. Oh, okay, cool. That is true, actually. Chanel 25 not being on his list seems off. Are these just the new trending items with nothing from previous seasons? It's the trending items from last quarter, basically. It's been, yeah. I just mentioned that, like the Steve Jobs, he wore the same shirt every day, and they were all the same, like the same Yake piece. That's what I was asking. Like, are the tech bros wearing that, or are they wearing like pleated pieces? Okay, cool. It's the pleated hoodie and vest all over San Francisco. Interesting. Tech bros are wearing Issa Miyake pleated hoodies. Fascinating. That is actually fascinating. That's crazy. That's crazy. Oh, you should see the finance bro. Okay, the Patagonia vest. I'm very aware of that one. I didn't know they've upgraded and developed into Issey Miyake hoodies and vests. And the Rolex watch that probably isn't a detainer unless they're an MD. So what are they wearing? Like Oyster Perpetuals and like Date Justs and stuff like that. Submariners and stuff like that. Oh my gosh, haven't seen you in forever. I deleted all my meta accounts recently. I have no idea what's going on sometimes. The fashion very glad to see you live. Welcome back. I haven't actually been live in a really long time. So yeah, I haven't actually been here also. But great to see you. Tune in. But yeah, we're just doing a Q&A session today, but tomorrow or the day after, I'm gonna go into like the normal live streams where we cover specific topics and just deep dive into those. Everyone criticized Matthew Williams so much as Givenchy, which was valid, but has Sarah done any better during her time there? Seems like it has even less cachet than it had when Matthew Williams was there. Agree. So I would say, from a product perspective, I prefer what Sarah Burton is doing, but I do agree there's less like cultural cachet with her being there compared to Matthew Williams, to be honest. So yeah. Have you heard of trash called Evan Kenori, who is San Francisco based? The Richard Tech Bros wear his shit. I don't know what that brand is. Evan Kenori. Let me see. Let's see. This is like research for me as well. Okay. It looks very. It looks like the typical brand that you can buy in like Japan. Like everything is like a high grade linen or cotton fabric and like very tonal colors. Like it's very, very like those kind of brands. Like I feel like this is the kind of brand that when you're walking on the street in Japan and you just see like a shop and you're like, oh, this is a cool shop. Let me walk in. This is exactly how the clothes will look, like to the T. Like an average Friday in Japan, just like walk into a store. This is what the clothing looks like. Someone said even his last name is Lopping. That's funny. So what? This brand is big in San Francisco. That's interesting. What is the cultural context of this brand? Like, what is it about this brand that people gravitate to? Because obviously, it can't just be the aesthetic, right? Because this is an aesthetic I see from many different, you know, Japanese brands. So, what is it? Okay, guys in the chat are saying it's big in the USA. What is it about the brand that like when people talk about why they buy it? What's the selling point? I'm curious to see what you guys say. Someone said they want to start a brand called Average Friday in Japan. Okay, quality, rarity of the processes. Okay, I mean that's fair enough. That's fair enough. But like aren't there so many brands that do that already though? Like I said, this aesthetic is so ubiquitous. Like this brand reminds me of people like Yan Vanessa, but Yan Vanessa does what this person is doing, but just way, way better. And like Vanessa, it's the same vibe. It's like about the process and it's about the quality of the fabrics and it's about slow production and, you know, all that sort of stuff. But I just think Yan does that, but with a bit more flair. So then it doesn't just exactly look like the run of the mill Japanese brand that you can just get anywhere. It looks slightly different. Um, that's why I'm like, I'm not seeing too much of a selling point for that brand, to be honest. Okay, someone said people aren't self starters and researchers, they want to plug and play. Fair enough. Fair enough. Because I'm like, but it's not that interesting. Like, there's other brands that do that whole Japanese aesthetic, but in a way more interesting way. But shout out to them though. If it's like that, like you guys are saying, if it's really that big in the US, that's cool that they found their audience. He's like a step up for richer and slightly older tech bros who don't know how to find real Japanese brands. They graduate from Gulp Core slash Arc'teryx to Evan Kenori and buy matcha lattes. Okay, now it makes more sense. Cause I was just like, yeah, this just looks like if you go to Japan, I promise, like you don't even need to go to Japan. Like if you're into fashion, you know probably 20 Japanese brands that have that same aesthetic, but they'll probably be cheaper because if you just use like Bai or like just use a proxy in Japan, it would probably be significantly cheaper. So it's a city boy fashion without being a boy in the city and no fashion effort. Are you talking about Geoffrey B. Small? Yeah, I think Geoffrey B. Small is also more interesting than Evan Kenori. But Geoffrey B. Small is kind of like it's kind of I'm trying to think if I put it in the same category as like these designers. I think what they do is they give kind of a bigger, way bigger offering than just that like Japanese slow production aesthetic. They do a lot more than that, to be fair. Um, like they experiment with dyeing processes and they experiment with like wrinkle effects and like different fabric effects. Yeah, I think what they do is like way more advanced than just like the oh it's slow production linen. I think they're a bit more advanced than that. San Francisco featuring performative males. How often do you buy new pieces? It really just depends. Um, Not very often. Maybe like because I'm more of a saver because I have to be sure that I don't want to buy stuff impulsively. So I'll like save and then wait a few months, and if I still want something, I'll buy it. So most times I buy maybe like I'd say a year, I might buy like 4 or 5 new items every year. But my closet is quite big because obviously I've been collecting clothes since I was 16. And stuff that I bought when I was 16 still fits me till today because I'm the same height. So I grew really early and then just stopped growing. So yeah, when you've been buying 5 to 6 pieces a year for like, you know, 10 plus years, it becomes like 100 pieces. Because obviously you buy those pieces and then you might get a free piece here and then you might do this or you might like you get other clothes other ways. And then you make custom clothes and like all this other stuff. Everything everybody has said is why I've chosen to distance myself from social media to preserve my sense of self. Yeah, I think it's honestly to do with I think honestly it's to do with who's um where you consume information because I feel like there are many content creators like me. Like there's many people that like create content like I like if you follow like someone like Tuba Avalon, for example, these are people that preach will give you like a wide spectrum of brands to check out, will tell you that, there's other brands that look like this. Try this brand, try that brand. These aren't people that are going to force you down a specific direction. I think when you consume information from people who force you down a narrow direction, that is an issue because those are the kind of people that will make you look like a TikTok clone of someone else because they don't promote you finding your own style and stuff. So I think it just depends. My girlfriend said you subtly just flexed on us. Did I? What did I say? Cottage core, urban academia core, Gorp core. What was the mob wife? Yeah, there's so many of those at this ballet core. Fashion sense revealing your screen time. What Drake in a beige polo? Do people actually look to Drake for style inspiration? Like, just I'm genuinely just asking a question out of curiosity. You said you fit your clothes from 16 years old and you get free pieces here and there. Okay, that's fair enough. But I do work in the industry though. I feel like most people that work in the industry get free clothes, and it's not even on some like brands just send you clothes. It's more like for example, I can literally like I'll be talking to the team of a brand, and I might tell them about a piece I like. Not even because I'm trying to get anything from them. I'm just talking about like aspects to the brand that I like, and then I might mention a piece I like, and then they'll be like, "Oh, do you really like that piece? We have some spares in the back room. Like, we can give you one." That just happens. I feel like that happens to most people I know that work in the industry. That kind of happens. Or like for example, um, the first time I ever went to Antwerp, I met. Nah. Okay, I thought my thing disconnected, but anyway, like I was saying, Antwerp is a very like small place. Everyone knows everyone, so like a lot of these people like that own stores there, they've been friends with the Antwerp Six and like Margiela since they were kids, and they have access to all this like crazy stuff. So because they knew that I'm like a big Andamela Meester fan, and I talk about her work all the time, endlessly. Um, the woman that runs the store on, she was like, "Oh, I've got some stuff for you because I know you'll like keep it for a really long time." And I'm like trying to give people this stuff that really appreciates it. So she just went to the back room and brought out all this like archive Andamela stuff, like insane stuff, and she gave it to me for free, which is so nice of her. But like, so I think stuff like that happens if you work in the industry. If people know that there's a brand that you appreciate and they're collectors or they have access to certain stuff, they might extend that stuff to you. I think that's just how it goes. So yeah, I wasn't I wasn't trying to flex or anything. Said the flexing and getting better, but that's not what I was doing, guys. That's not what I was doing. Yeah, fashion is just merchandise at the end of the day, so it happens. Or like, okay, in my case, for example, something that might happen is I might review a show, and then especially smaller brands, funny enough, like because there's so many small brands that I just like see what they're doing and I'm like, oh, this is interesting. And then I like either want to interview them or I make a video about their work. Like there's a footwear brand. I can't remember because there's quite a few of them now. But there was one footwear brand that I spoke about recently that I really like, by the way. And they were so happy with like the traction that my video got. They were like, "Oh my god, can we like send you a pair of footwear?" But in my head, I'm just like it's a small brand and their shoes are expensive. And I know how like fashion business works. I don't want to receive something free from them because it's like it's gonna cost them a lot. Because what I like about the brand is like their shoes are so high quality. So it's the kind of brand where even giving someone something for free is not that cheap because it costs so much to make anyway. And I just didn't want to do that. So that happens a lot too. Thoughts on Taylor McNeil, the stylish, responsible? Yeah, yeah. Taylor's cool. I like a lot of Taylor's looks, to be honest. Especially on Kendrick, less so on Timothy Chalamet. I just don't really like ever since I think the best era of Timothy Chalamet's style was the Hyder Ackerman time. When Timothy Chalamet started becoming this like Timberland boots wearing, chrome hearts wearing person, he looks like he dresses like he has an identity crisis. That I don't know his that what he wears doesn't fit him. He doesn't embody the aesthetic of what he wears. He just doesn't. I don't know. It just doesn't fit. Like he's trying to wear like Timberland boots with like chrome heart skinny jeans. It's like you're not a rapper. You're not like you're a posh actor that tries to be like I don't need let me not because I know exactly what I'm about to say, so let me not say it. You guys kind of understand where I'm going with it. Oh gosh. Yeah, he does look like he's borrowing someone's wardrobe. That's true. Would you align your brand to connect with a specific brand, like brand a hashtag and Rick Owens, or would you stay in, or would you say, or what would you say is your lane? Yeah, I don't, because okay, for example, as much as I love Under Minimista and I have a lot of Under Minimista pieces, I don't wear Under Minimista every day or day to day. I might wear Under Minimista once a week. So even though that's my favorite brand, I wouldn't say like people align me with the brand or people necessarily associate me with the brand like that. And I don't have any problem with people doing that. I think I just don't wear any brand enough for that to be a thing. But I don't think there's anything wrong with it. I think it's kind of cool that Brenda hashtag has a uniform and it's like really cool and she looks really good wearing what she wears. And she has that whole like black and white thing going on. Like she only wears black or white. And it's crazy how like diligently she stuck to that. It's like insane. I'm still mad at Timmy's magazine cover, the one with the photographer who shot Bob Marley shaking my head. By the way, this isn't a question, but bring back the streams with Anastasia at some point. Yeah, that's the plan. We spoke about potentially doing some streams when Fashion Week is back, so we can review some shows together. Um, to be honest, she actually wants to stream. It's my fault because I'm like like I was just swimming in work recently, so I just couldn't stream. But she fair play to her. She does ask me like when you're back streaming, let me know. We should do some streams. So those are coming. Those are definitely coming. Not someone saying Timmy got Kardashianized. He kind of did though, Loki. Loki. Do you think Kiko would be able to bring back Helmet Lang? If not, then who do you think could? I think Kiko is the perfect person for Helmet Lang because I think their aesthetics are so closely aligned. Like when you think of Kiko, especially early Kiko, like the first Kiko collections were very workwear inspired, very uniform inspired. Then, of course, he started looking at different themes like, 18th century inspirations and like things like the Kentucky Derby and like all these different points. But fundamentally, there's still that in with what Kiko designs, there's that underlying workwear aesthetic there. And Helmet Lang is basically the same thing. Like Helmet Lang is very like workwear. Like Helmet Lang was famous for the jeans. The jeans is a big time workwear staple. Helmet Lang was all about like the block colors, all about creating uniforms. So I do think that philosophy wise, they're very aligned. And also Kiko is a designer that has a cult following. Like there are the Kiko stands are the Kiko stands, and they will go to Helmet Lang in a way that I don't think designers that they've tried to do it with have in the past. Like, for example, Peter Doe, I'm a big fan of Peter Doe, but I wouldn't say that Peter Doe necessarily has a cult following the way that Kiko does. Like, Kiko fans will buy Kiko Mainline, Kiko Asics, Kiko, like every collab, everything he touches. So, to be honest, I think if anyone is going to fix Helmet Lang, it would be Kiko. I'm trying to think, is there anyone else that could actually realistically do a good job at Helmet Lang? I would have said Craig Green if Craig Green was um if Craig Green was still like if Craig Green was more relevant because I think their philosophies are also very aligned. Like Craig Green was also very much like workwear, uniforms, that kind of stuff, but with a twist. Um, so I think at a certain point in time, Craig Green would have been a good fit. Except I don't got Kiko money anymore. What happened? The real responsibilities are coming in. You have to pay rent. Or you have a mortgage to pay. Shane Oliver's was kind of good. Don't know why they ended. Yeah, so the thing about Shane Oliver though, he wasn't. It didn't seem like that was a long-term agreement. He kind of just designed capsule collections. So they didn't really commit to Shane Oliver the way they should have, because Shane Oliver is also someone that I think has a cult following. At Hood Bayern, obviously now at Anonymous Club, I think Shane has like a strong community for sure. Raf could do a good job at Helmelang. That's 100% true, but I think the reason why I didn't even consider Raf Simmons is because it's such a step down to go from Prada to Helmet Lang. So it's just not something that I could plausibly imagine would happen. But in terms of fit, yes, Raf could also do a job at Helmet Lang. So, yeah. Someone said, "Isn't he a contemporary of Helmut Lang?" Ish. I mean, Helmut Lang's era was slightly before Raf Simons. What I will say though is that Raf Simons has publicly said that he's very inspired by Helmut Lang. So he definitely, you know, he understands the history. He's referenced the archives of Helmut Lang before. So I think there's definitely an alignment there for sure. Like definitely. I haven't talked about the September cover yet. I plan on making like a short, but at some point. Would be legendary if you collabed with Ryan Finn and Must Be Margella. I mean, it's possible. Those are two of my really good friends. Um, like in real life. So it's I can definitely bring them on the channel at some point. Helmut Lang could always run out of art money. What's next for Drees? In what sense? I feel like Drees is fine for now. Like there's nothing needs to change there. I think Julian Klausner is doing a great job. I think he understands the heritage correctly, but he's building it out in his own way while, staying true. Um, and then Dries Van Noten, the person himself, he has this foundation in Venice that he's working on. So he's supporting creatives, supporting artists, and building his foundation in Venice. So I think everything in the Dries department is completely fine. I think everything is going well in the Dries department. What are the biggest five creative director positions? Um, Dior, Dior, Chanel, Hermes, Gucci. Dior, Chanel, Hermes, Gucci. Um, you know what? I think there's just four. I I would say LV, but like, because LV is like one of the bigger brands in fashion. Like the top three brands in fashion in terms of revenue are Hermes, Chanel, and Louis Vuitton. But the problem with LV is like from a creative director standpoint, it doesn't have the same prestige as like being the creative director of like Dior or the creative director of Hermes or Chanel. It just doesn't have the same prestige, even though it's kind of on the same level. And you probably get paid similar. It just doesn't have that same prestige. I don't know why. It just doesn't. I think it's to do with like okay, when you think of Dior, for example, and you think of the designers that have been at Dior in the past, you think of like Christian Dior himself, you think of Marc Bohan, Gianfranco Ferrer, John Galliano, Yves Saint Laurent, um, Bill Gayton, Raf Simons, who else has been there? Like MGC. It's like there's just been a lot of iconic. So there's like a prestige there where it's like you're following the footsteps of like Gianfranco and like Yves Saint Laurent and stuff like that. And it's the same with Chanel. It's like Coco Chanel is so revolutionary when it comes to fashion. Like in terms of what she represents and what she did for women in fashion. And then Karl Lagerfeld, how iconic he is and him taking over. So then taking over after a brand that has been run by Coco and Karl Lagerfeld, there's just a prestige there. Louis Vuitton doesn't really have that prestige because like Marc Jacobs had a good run, but it's not the same as like an Yves Saint Laurent, like and like the heritage and like when it happened, it's just not the same. Um, yeah, it's not the same. Oh, I was just inquiring what Dries is up to for retirement. Okay, cool. So he's consulting for the brand. Yes, he is. He's said that publicly. He's working on the fragrance collection. So even the new fragrances that they launched, that's actually through Dries himself. He's the main person that controls that. And then he has his foundation in Venice. Um, and he's doing like exhibitions in Venice and stuff. So that's mainly what he's doing. And obviously tending to his garden, as he always does. Wouldn't you? Oh, Dario Vitale would be great at Calvin Klein because he has Dario Vitale has that 70s slash 80s aesthetic, and I think at Versace obviously it was very colorful and like really crazy. I think he could tone it down for Calvin Klein in a very cool way. No, I think Dario Vitale could like do some really cool stuff at Calvin Klein, and especially now because I'm just not feeling this era of Calvin Klein. I'm just not. Yeah, it's just not the best. Well, Grace Well's gonna make menswear more relevant. Of course she will. Even though rich people have always bought Hermes menswear and women's wear, there's never really been like in culture people don't talk about Hermes menswear, and I think that's what they wanted Grace for, because Grace is very culturally relevant. Like big famous artists and poets and people. These are people that follow Grace's work, and even intellectuals and academics, like prominent academics, love Grace's clothes. So it's just going to hit a different market that I don't think Hermes normally hits. And more people, because Grace is there, more people will talk about it for sure. Like everyone's going to be making reels about every single collection that she makes at Hermes. Everyone's going to review every single collection she does at Hermes. Whereas before, people weren't really reviewing Hermes collections. Like you're not going to see that on the TL. Do you think there's a blacklist on Dario getting a job because he left me? Nah, just from Prada Group. So he just can't work for any Prada Group brand, but any other brand, I don't. I think he can work there. Yeah, and the Hermes people have been following Grace since CSM. Yeah. No, I think Grace is going to make Hermes menswear really culturally relevant. To be honest. So yeah. Um. Someone saying no audio. Can no one hear me? Maybe my mic has gone silent. I'm too hard on clothes to buy these brands. Have you seen what sweats cost at Hermes? Yeah, I mean, Hermes is insane. To be honest, like Hermes is like I've never bought Hermes in my life. Like that stuff is expensive. Like you have to be rich to buy Hermes. Like that is not like you really have to be rich. And the problem with how expensive Hermes is like I have so many interests that even if I could afford Hermes, there's so many things I would buy before I would buy Hermes clothes. Like I would rather save for years and buy like a Porsche 911 than buy Hermes clothes or like just buy a house. Like there's just more important stuff than buying like 40K bags. I don't know. It's just but that's the thing. People that normally buy this kind of stuff, unless they're just financially irresponsible, they have 10 homes already and five extra holiday homes. So at that point, it's just disposable income. But for someone like me, I'd have to be 40 before I start buying Hermes because, like, I have to buy a house. I have to, like, there's way more important things. Like, I might have a kid between that time, then I have to, like, take care of my kid. Like, there's just bigger priorities. Since I'm not in the industry, I've always wondered, are all these clothes getting bought every fashion week? Most times, it's very rare that because fashion week really is just designers are showcasing a collection. Then it's up to the market to decide what they like. So some buyers might gravitate towards certain pieces. Some pieces might never go into production if no one wants to buy it and it's clear that there's no demand for it. So it just goes on the runway. That's the last time you see it, apart from the few VIP clients that buy the samples or they get custom versions of a piece that they saw on the runway that they wanted made for themselves. But outside of that, it's not every single piece that's ever going to go into production or that's going to get bought. So most times there's in every single collection there are looks that never get put into production. Are LV shows considered fashion shows or live concerts? They're considered fashion shows. The custom made car that you displayed last live. Oh, that's the Totem Automobili. That's the I'll show you. That's just me. That's wishful thinking. That's this car right here. This car, but this car cost like 700,000 euros. Like this is not accessible in any way. Like I'd have to be a millionaire to afford this. Which is that ever gonna happen? Who knows? Um, but like look at like without options, I haven't even added options to this car, and it's already 539,000 euros. So I like the car and what it represents. It's just way too unaffordable. But I can live vicariously through the people that own it. Basically. Not be 40 and buy a house. Yeah, Fashion Week is just marketing spend for a lot of brands also. How important is your partner having an interest in fashion? What if they were an Amazon Shein shopper or dressed in a way you didn't like? So do you know what's funny? I don't like when it comes to like dating and stuff like that, I just think there's way more important stuff than how they dress personally. Like I think of what is their character. I also have to think like are they in a good career or are they heading somewhere? Because obviously I do think it's important to be with someone that like their life is a bit stable, not chaotic. Especially because I'm getting older, so I think that's more important. Like I'm almost 30 at this point. Um, do they have good character? Are they nice to be around? Do we get along? You know, will they get along with my family? Will I get along with their family? Like, there's just I think on that list of priorities, I think how they dress or what they wear is quite low on that priority list. And actually, there's been people I've dated in the past who, because I'm not going to tell someone what to do or what to wear or whatever. I just think that's a bit crazy. But I think just by being around me and then being around my friends and stuff, they kind of pick up stuff and like through me because we're just talking all the time. Eventually, it kind of rubs off on them, and then they start being a bit more fashiony anyway. So yeah, I'm not too fussed about if my partner is in fashion or all that sort of stuff. I don't think it's that important. So long as they're a good person, that's all that matters. What brands would you say are worth the money? I mean, this is all subjective, right? Um, so it's hard to even recommend like what's worth it because it's still all relative and subjective. It's like what value do you put on the garments? But if you're asking like, what brands provide a level of quality that it's worth it, I would say Celine is definitely a brand that like produces really good quality things if we're talking about luxury fashion. But I think most of the brands where you get serious value for your money are going to be the less mainstream brands, like the Yan Van Neschers, even brands like Andermatt Meister and brands like that that are not so, like they're luxury, but they're not like Chanel. It's not like 10K for a bag luxury, but it's still like really, really good quality. 700,000 euros on a car or a house. A house, obviously. I think so. Cars like this, once again, unless you're financially irresponsible, these are for people that already have multiple houses. Because I don't know how logically you could justify spending 700,000 euros on a car and you don't have your own house. That's just ridiculous, isn't it? So I think these kind of cars, they're just for people that are already in that. Yeah. I'm West African. You get the highest paying job and just marry the richest. Wait, Purple Rains. Are you a man or a woman, or are you non-bi? Like, what are you? I'm just curious for context. That's hilarious. I wants that car. He's so better going somewhere career wise for real. I mean, I'm doing well in my career, but I'm not doing so well that I can spend 700,000 euros on a car. If I had that much money, I'd already have my own house by now. Imagine your partner vigorously follows TikTok fashion show. I still don't mind, honestly. I think there's just more important things when it comes to dating, personally. If she buys Celine, Miu Chanel, she is probably financially stable. Not all the time. Sometimes people buy that on, Afterpay and Klarna. What do you think about the future of Marina Yee as a brand? Is her co-owner running it indefinitely? You know what? I haven't actually, since her unfortunate passing, I haven't actually looked at what the brand was doing. Obviously, when she was still alive, she was obviously rebuilding the brand, and they were just kind of like building stuff up slowly. But I'm not actually aware of what has happened to the brand since she passed. So you would, Daniel, you would know better than me. So I can't even answer that question because I haven't, I'm not aware of what's been going on. Oh, you're a woman. Okay. That's okay. That makes the context a lot easier. You're Ghanaian, so that's why you know the Nigerian. Okay, it makes sense. That's funny. Yeah, I think I don't know. It's just yeah. I think that someone's career is definitely important. Like when I'm dating someone, I definitely think their career is important. That's definitely important. Because as you know, Purple Rain. Because my mum is always lecturing me about like dating and stuff, and she's like, your trajectory is you're going somewhere. Don't go and date someone that will pull you down. My mom's always on my neck about that. So, and she's not wrong, to be honest. You want to date what the phrase that my mom uses is you want to date someone that is equally yoked. That's what my mom be saying. Equally yoked. I picked up a repoed 356 cabriolet at auction. My family and I worked on it ourselves. Took 2 years, and almost every weekend through it. Oh, that is so cool. That is actually so cool. Like, oh my gosh, like I'm not very good with like cars in the sense of like I'm into cars, but not in the sense of I don't know how to work on cars. I really wish I could. That is so cool. All those that is so like family bonding times when you guys just work on a car and then over time you finally that is honestly so cool. Like I wish I could do stuff like that. She's right. I have prideless dowries. My mom says equally yoked every 5 business days. I feel like it's such a West African thing. It's like your partner has to be equally yoked. Um, do people consider if a brand's clothes hold value like they do watches? Yes, but you have to be rich to be in that position because the kind of like brands that produce clothes that really hold like Hermes stuff and like some Chanel stuff and like they're so inaccessible to start with. So that's kind of like a rich person's game, kind of similar to watches actually, because like with watches, like let's say Patek Philippe, if you want something really exclusive that increases in value, you first have to buy something like a Calatrava or something like that. It's just same as luxury fashion. So people do consider it. There are some people that look at luxury fashion as an investment, but you kind of have to have money to invest to start with to even start doing that. So you can't just be like normal people like us and do that. What are your thoughts on the return of Olivier Thayskins and Zebra? You know what? It's cool, But I just wanted to see Olivier at McQueen. Like I remember when Sarah Burton left and there was an opening, I just thought that Olivier was perfect for McQueen. So it's cool what's going on, but I just want to live in an alternate universe where Olivier is at McQueen personally. But that's like there's all these designers, especially like Olivier. There's because I feel like when people talk about Belgian designers, they talk about people that people know. So like Mathieu Blasi, they talk about like obviously the Antwerp Six. They talk about Margiela. Um, Heider Ackerman's not Belgian, but obviously because of the academy, people kind of put him in there. People talk about like Glenn Martins and all that sort of stuff, but there's designers like Olivier. Even when you think of brands like Van der Vorst, there's like a lot of these like sensational like Belgian designers that they're not in the cultural. It's not even like the cultural zeitgeist. It's just like maybe their legacy is starting to filter out, or like this new generation of people into fashion don't know about these people. It's not People are not as interested in these designers, but I think they're just as good, personally. So I think it's good in the sense that I don't want those designers to be forgotten about. I think being a good person is cool, but I also like to shop, so the person needs to be able to afford that. Yeah, Purple Rains. You need a rich you need a rich guy. You need someone with a bit of someone with deep pockets. Okay, you guys are talking about Drake. Brands you want to eventually climb the ladder as you gain success. Oh yeah, if you're talking about buying luxury fashion as an investment, agree. Yes, true. Um, do you ever get sick of the fashion/luxury industry? How do you stay sane, balanced? I honestly think the reason why I'm able to stay balanced in when it comes to the luxury industry is because my life doesn't revolve around it. Yes, it's my job. Yes, I consult, and therefore I have to be like in touch and in tune with what's going on. However, I have other interests. Like I am into like in January I traveled to Serbia and I went to watch a EuroLeague basketball game. Like I do other stuff, like just random excursions. Um on on Friday, I believe, I'm going to Turkey on holiday and I'm gonna see like a pre-season Purple Rains. You're actually killing me. But I'm West African, so I get it. I honestly get it. I get it. That's funny. Purple Rains is trying to get on the Gulfstream G800. I feel you. I feel you. I feel you. I feel you. That's funny. Yeah, private jet money is like a whole different frontier. Like private jets is like that's a different tax bracket entirely. That's a whole different tax bracket. Purple Rain, so a lovely person with a directorship. Mom says just as easy to marry a rich man. Yeah, I think it's cool if you can find, so long as you find like, because obviously if you want to date a guy with deep pockets, so long as you make sure that one, obviously this guy is not abusive. Two, he's not the type that's gonna control you with money, because some guys are like that. Um, and yeah, just someone that's just going to treat you well. So long as those things are like ticked and you have a good time and like it's good vibes, I don't see anything wrong with it. Because there are very rich people in this world that are looking to spend their money. Like I see a lot of them. I meet a lot of them at Fashion Week. Do you think if someone wants to be a fashion editorial photographer, they need to live in? Yeah, you kind of do. To be very honest with you, you kind of do. You do. If you want to go far, you do have to live in a major city. To be very honest with you, I'm running a neuropsych evaluation on these rich dudes. I'll even go get a psychiatrist to shadow a date. Just let me know if any dark triad traits are under the surface. That is so funny. That's the tax bracket where you start not paying them anymore using advanced strategies. Facts. 100%. I also think because I'm such a safe investor, like if I earned a million, I would personally see earning a million as I make like 50K a year. Because obviously, if you invest a million at a return of 5% annually, it means you don't have to work anymore and you can just like live off 50K a year. However, I would just keep working, but just keep investing that way. So then I would buy like a 700K car when my investments can pay for, like, the dividend payments from my investments can pay for that car. Because I feel like if you dip into your principal, you're kind of holding yourself back, or you're like, I don't know. I feel like you're kind of, yeah, you're kind of, all that money you worked for, you kind of just blew it away and it's never coming back. Yeah, 5% is a good return. Don't let these financial gurus, because financial gurus will make you think that it's normal to get like a 10% return. Like that is not normal. And unless you're taking high risk, which I'm not trying to take. I'm like between 4 to 6%. I'm good with that. Like 4 to 6% in a good year, 8%. I'm fine. I'm fine with that return. But yeah, I see all these like people online like, yeah, I get a 15% return. I'm like, sure you do. Sure you do. I don't even think the best hedge funds can guarantee like 15%. I'm like, sure you do. Like the people that are, I get 15%, right? I saw some, I was watching some video the other day, and there was this like billionaire supposedly, and he was like, if it's less than 12%, I don't even bother. And I'm like, sure. Like, that's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. Because if you're a billionaire, why does it matter? Even if it's an 8% return, because you're worth so much, that is so much money. I just don't believe, like, it just didn't make sense. Like, it just didn't make sense. Because normally, when you're a billionaire, you can't spend, because being a billionaire is just an inhumane amount of wealth that like you literally cannot spend more than your investments go up. That's why every single billionaire always like their money goes up. Like look at Jeff or whoever all these billionaires are, their money always doubles every couple of years because you can't. How can you, even if you buy all the houses you want and all the private jets you want and all the cars you want, you're not even going to make a dent of your dividends that are being paid out of your investment. So that whole, oh, if it's less than 12%, I don't even touch it. It just sounded a bit goofy. I don't believe him. iOS Nigerian scammer detector is ringing like crazy. I know bullshit when I hear it. Yeah, exactly. The only people who get 10% are like Warren Buffett, and he's literally the best investor of all time. Tips on the fashion design community college associate's degree to your fashion university pipeline. Oh, this is a good pipeline. I have a friend that did this. Um, this is a good pipeline. Although, because I'm not American and I also don't fully understand the American like educational system because I wasn't part of it. Like I've not gone to school in America in any sort of way. I'd say like some people in the chat could help you or could give you some advice because there's some Americans in the chat. I would have loved to go to school in America though. America seems like maybe because I just grew up in the UK, but like America does seem like a film. Like I remember when I was like considering going to university in America, I went to Stanford and I like on a visit, on a school visit, and I couldn't believe the facilities. Like I genuinely think only America has those kind of facilities in colleges. I don't think any other country has those kind like I was like, why do they have all these facilities? Like this is a school. Like what is going on here? Like so, yeah. It felt like I was in a film. It didn't feel real. Like some American schools I've been to, they don't feel real. It just feels like I'm just in a movie. 8% is the average return annually in America. Really? 8%? That's high. That's pretty high. 8% is quite high. Like if you're getting an 8% return, you've done very well for yourself. Like very well. Uh, billionaires are broke. Um, billionaires aren't broke. They're not broke. They just get Lombard loans. That doesn't make them broke though. That they're definitely not broke. It's just okay. For example, most rich people don't ask me how I know all of this, but most rich people they have private banks or they have access to private banking, and when you have access to private banking, you get access to asset backed loans that are very low interest. And the reason why they're low interest is because they're very low risk to the bank because, of course, they're backed by your own assets. And the reason why you would want to do that is because, like someone just said, if the average return in America is 8% on your investment, so your investments are growing at a rate of 8% every year, and they're compounding onto each other, but you're getting like a 1 or 2% loan, that means you're making a 6% profit every single year. So you're getting richer every single year, but you're just taking loans. But at a point where you were to initiate a sale, you would see that your assets, like the gap is only getting bigger by 6% every single year, and it compounds. So at the end of like 10, 15, 20 years, it could be as big as like 200% how big the gap is. So I'm not sure I would call them broke. That's not broke at all, to be honest. I think that's actually the smart thing to do. And then obviously they don't pay tax because of it, because for tax reasons they're constantly in debt, but they're not really because their investments are growing faster than the debt. But you know, tax system. Do not go to Texas. They've got enough Yoruba men over there. Yeah, so people say the S&P 500 has a return of 8%, but like I don't only invest in the S&P 500 because I just don't think it's smart to just invest in one thing. So I invest in like that's why I get a 5% return because I'm a safer investor. I invest in bonds, I invest in the S&P 500, I invest in a lot of different things to try and spread it out. So I'm not just invested completely in one thing. Um, so yeah. And this too, like past performance doesn't indicate future performances, which is exactly why I spread out my investments and I don't just like invest in one thing. Um, but yeah, I think a lot of people lose money because they get greedy. Like, cause me mentally, I'm like, I'm trying to get a 5% return, and it's not like super, like difficult to get a 5% return on your investments. So I'm just doing slow and steady wins the race. Some people are like trying to get this like get rich quick scheme, and then they lose all their money taking unnecessary risk. Oh, okay, you're being sarcastic. Okay, fair enough. To be fair, people do type that in social media comment sections. To be fair, you're right. He's like, yeah, but like billionaires are broke though because like they take loans, so they're in debt, and it's like, but no, they're getting richer as literally every second that passes. I went to Eton, right? If I went to Eton, I wouldn't sound like this. I'd sound more posh. That I would sound a lot more posh if I went to Eton. Favorite decade, fashion wise? Probably the 20th century. Probably the 20th century. Okay, okay. You said decade, so I thought you said like period. Okay, decade. The 1980s, like 1980 to 1990 for sure. Because I feel like the brands that I really like Andre Mista is my favorite designer. Under like the Antwerp Six got prominent in the 80s. Yoji got prominent, who's another one of my favorite designers. He got prominent in Paris in the 80s. Um, yeah, I would say like for me personally, like it's going to be 1980 to 1990 that period because I feel like most things that I like about fashion and like designers I like, they either started then, they got prominent then, they learnt from a designer that got prominent in that period. There's always like a connection to that period. I don't know. A lot of the stock market feels like a pipe dream. Like, why is the sky is falling? Yeah, but I mean, that's why you have to diversify your investments, right? Like, even I just can't afford to invest in property, but if I could, I would do that too to diversify even more. Um, and I just don't even own a house anywhere. So the first thing I'll do is like actually get a house that I can live in. Um, I don't know. It's just, yeah, just how it is. Rich people get so much for free, just showered with free ridiculous mistake about it. This is extremely true. Most rich people don't, even though they're rich, they don't pay for anything. This is very, very true. Very, very true. Mm-mm-mm-mm. I love the runway photos from the 80s and 90s that always have this white tint that looks vintage. Yeah, it's because of the film cameras and the film stocks they were using at the time. I like it though. I honestly really like it. Mm, 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 mm. New York fashion is greater than LA. Did anyone say LA was better than New York fashion? Eesh. Not sure I can agree with that. First of all, you need money to invest. That's already a reality far, far away. Facts. Like making money is so hard. I'm gonna be so honest with you. Like maybe other people don't have that experience, but for me, I've been broke my whole life until like maybe a year ago, maybe when like I started getting like more and more consulting jobs, and then I like finally became comfortable financially. Like I've been struggling for a long time. So like when people are telling me about like money issues and money troubles, I totally understand because it is not easy at all. Also, the housing market, I definitely think it's a bubble, by the way. I think the peak of returns from housing, I think that has blown. I think that has already happened. Because I think right now, we're in, especially in the West, like in the UK, in France, in anywhere, like America, most places, especially major cities, the housing can most people that live in the city cannot afford the housing, and I'm talking rent or like mortgage. And when that happens, that now means that there's less demand than supply because people literally cannot buy the housing anymore. And so the more the prices go up, the more we'll just get to a stalemate where no one can afford it, and then the prices have to come down because like the market will just correct itself. And I think we're very close to that happening. Mm, 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 mm. Were brands producing better clothes in the past because they were just starting out and had to prove themselves? Why are there no Margiela and men's brands of today that will last 20 years? Um, I think there are some brands that are like new that I think will definitely, well, hopefully, will be around for like a really long time. Um, I will say, okay, I'll say this. I do think there definitely was a level of seriousness that designers took their careers with that I don't really see in this era of fashion. However, I do think that we do need to remember that a lot of stuff that we're seeing, we're looking at it in hindsight. It's always easier to look at stuff in the past and be like, oh my God, that was so amazing. And then just look at stuff in the present and be like, it's just not the same. But then 20 years from now, people are going to be talking about stuff that's happening now, like the way we talk about Margiela. That's the crazy thing. So I think it's also very important to kind of see the merit of everything that's happening right now. Um, because I do think in fashion we do have a tendency to do that. Because think of all the great designers. Like when McQueen first hit the scene, people hated his clothes and thought he was a terrible designer, and thought that he was misogynistic, literally. And now most people think that McQueen is the greatest designer of all time. You see what I mean? So it's like sometimes we don't have the context for things in the current time. Okay, if you're talking about the quality of the clothes, obviously it was way better made back then. So if you're talking about the actual clothing items standing the test of time, yeah, it was a lot better back then. That I would agree with you. Do you have to pitch yourself to get teams to hire you, or did your work just keep getting better until people started reaching out? So how consulting works is the first few times you kind of have to pitch yourself. And then when you've done a few consulting jobs, then people start to reach out to you. Like, oh, I saw that you consulted for this person. We would like to work with you in this capacity. I saw that you worked for this. And then it just kind of spirals. So that's normally how consulting works. So it kind of is really hard to get your foot in the door, but once you're there, it's like not as difficult to get new jobs after because you kind of have a portfolio and like references and people that are singing your praise if it went well. Um, so that tends to happen. Do you think various wars will have an effect on fashion? Like looking back, I see how military styles have influenced fashion so many times, but I feel like our relationship with war has changed. Yeah, I think war always has an effect on fashion. So I definitely think it will have an effect. It affects like time frames. It affects the certain fabrics people use. It can affect, depending where the war is happening. It can literally, like, let's say a war breaks out in a country that is famous for silk. Well, all the brands that their whole focus is on silk, they have to pivot. They have to change the whole supply chain. So, what war always has an effect on fashion, like big effect too, like huge implications. I feel like I may not have the clout, but I know my ideas are good in this industry. Though it often feels like people see clout before they see the idea. Would love any advice on navigating that. Yeah, if I'm gonna be super honest, fashion is a bit of a it's a bit of a motion industry, like a motionomics industry, where having motion does help, but it's not the be all and end all. Um, I think so. The problem with trying to be a consultant if you don't have like a clout or whatever, like an audience, is like because I've gotten jobs from making YouTube videos because I'm doing it strategically. So I'll like be critiquing a brand strategy in a live stream, but like being really detailed about it. And then they might reach out to me and be like, what you said in that live stream was interesting. I'd like to have a meeting and discuss further. And then I'll be like, okay, we can discuss, but here's my fee. And then they pay the fee and then we discuss. So to be honest, it does help. It does help because you can have a really good idea, but if no one sees it, you know what I mean? Then it's like no one sees it. That's the problem with, I guess, the world we live in. Because it should just be that if you're good at what you do, you're good at what you do, but that's just not how the world works, unfortunately. No, McQueen wasn't misogynistic. It was just people misunderstanding his work. That's why. A lot of styles evolved out of colonialists having to wear different clothes in hotter Indian and African climates and borrowing from the locals. A bit ironic that innovation comes from functionality. Facts, 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 facts. And almost never the other way around. Agreed. Agreed. Any more questions? I've been on here for 3 hours, so I might hop off soon. But thank you very much, everyone who hopped in. This was a lot of fun because I haven't done this in such a long time. But we'll see how consistent I am on the return. Um, where are great new visions of the modern man? I feel like everyone is always trying to redefine and expand the image slash aesthetics of women. When you say redefine, do you mean in terms of like the whole cottagecore, balletcore? Like, what are the male versions of that? Is that what you mean? Um, yeah, let me know. I honor the carry last. Facts. Upside of petroleum getting cut off by a war, fewer PU pieces, they mostly just disintegrate. Rather have real leather. Yeah, I'm with you on that. I'm with you on that. It's gonna be another 6 months before we see you again. Not quite, not quite. The internet is often 6 months behind the trend. How do we solve people reacting late to like fashion thing and trend adoption in real time? I don't think you can fix that because I think most people are not adopters. So most people are they have to be spoon fed the information for them to adopt it, and a lot of people don't touch grass. That's why you have like a whole I don't know like rise of like incel culture and stuff. It's just a bunch of people that don't touch grass. So because of that, I think most people's first point of call is not like what's going on in actual reality. It tends to be what's going on the internet. Unfortunately, I think to fix that problem, more needs to be done. Like it's a bigger problem. Like more needs to be done to get people from a young age outside and interacting with other people, so then they become sociable, and then they form their own groups and subcultures between themselves, and then trends are created from that. So I think all these things are intertwined and they all affect each other. Damn, your jacket peeled off completely. Damn, that's insane. That's crazy. That's crazy. Today's version of Helmet Lang is Kiko Kostadinov. Um, Today's version of Calvin Klein is like endless, like Phoebe Philo, like Orally. I guess it's like Lemaire. Like there's a lot of like those kind of brands. Modern version of Andy. Hmm. I think that's a harder one. I'm trying to think. What's the modern version of Andy? I can't really think of a brand right now, but it was easier for Calvin Klein and Helmet, like, especially Calvin Klein. Like that was very easy. But anyway, guys, thank you for tuning in. I shall now be doing other things. But thank you for watching. Hopefully, if I stream at a normal time in the next stream, a lot of you can catch that stream. And I'll see you guys in the next stream. Thank you.